So John Fetterman, the Democrat senator from Pennsylvania, apparently signed on to some legislation and drafted a letter, despite the fact he's been hospitalized for 2 weeks and no one has seen him since, and his wife and children have fled the country. Okay, fled. They went on vacation. And Fetterman's in the hospital for depression. The rumor that's going around is that he's brain dead or close to it. I don't know if that's true, but the dude was already suffering from some severe debilitating effects of a stroke. So if the guy disappears for 2 weeks, no one's heard from him, I'm not so sure depression is the simple solution that makes the least amount of assumptions, especially when his family dips out of the country for vacation. But, who knows? Maybe the guy's just chilling and he's depressed or whatever right after winning the biggest race of his life and accomplishing his dreams. He's sad now. I don't know. For all we know, he got his dreams and then he's like, I can't function. And he really is depressed. But the rumor going around is that he's just no longer functioning, near brain dead. And there are even some Republicans demanding proof of life. Maybe a bit exaggerated, but a lot of people are wondering, how did he sign onto this legislation if he's currently admitted to a hospital and not working? All right, let's talk about it. Then we got Joe Biden, who laughed when discussing a story about a mother whose two children died when they accidentally ingested fentanyl. And Karine Jean-Pierre says, no, he's being sympathetic to the family. Of course. Biden blames Trump. Here's what I love about the story. Donald Trump inherits a busted border from Obama and Biden. And immediately, his whole campaign was building a wall to stop these problems, immediately starts deporting people and trying to build a wall, which is blocked by Democrats. And now you have Joe Biden saying, oh, no, that was Trump's fault. That was during the Trump administration. All right, let's talk about the border crisis. There's a bunch of other stories, of course, we can get to. There's a Tennessee lawmaker who wants to bring back hanging people by a tree as a method of execution. Well, all right, I guess that seems to be where we're going. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com, click that join us button and become a member. We're going to have a members only show coming up tonight, uncensored, not so family friendly. And we do those live now. So a lot of people said we shouldn't use Discord because they'll ban us and we should use Gilded. And then we found out Gilded's rules are actually crazier and it's probably worse. So now we're going back to the Discord, but it is nearly done. So here's what we're going to do. Once we have the Discord set up, solution. We'll set the YouTube chat back to the normal chat, and then we will consolidate memberships, if you are a member at timcast.com, to give you access to the Discord to chat there. So there will be the functioning member chat and the open, wild YouTube spam, whatever you want to do. And we'll probably just let people do whatever they want on the YouTube chat within, whatever YouTube lets them do, to be honest. So become a member and then watch the live show after the live show at timcast.com. That goes up around 10 p.m. We set the live stream, we get it going, and then you can hang out on the website where we cuss and make jokes and talk about naughty stories. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Ashley St. Clair.
Hello. Thanks for having me again, Tim.
Absolutely. Who are you? What do you do?
I do operations for the Babylon Bee, and I am also an author of the anti-trans children's book, Elephants Are Not Birds.
Another story that we should talk about is this viral video of drag for babies. There's this viral video going around where there's literally babies, I'm not exaggerating, babies on the ground as a guy does a thong striptease. And there's disco lights going off.
Should be criminal.
Yeah.
Should be criminal.
Well, this is
do not pass go, do not collect $200.
That's in London, but I'm pretty sure it's already illegal. It's just cops. We'll get into it. Also joining us tonight is Mary Morgan.
Hello, everyone. It's been a while since I've been on IRL. My name is Mary Morgan. Why is my voice shot? I'm on screaming? Pop Culture Crisis here in the attic at Timcast, and I was let out today.
That's right, in the attic.
Happy to be here.
Maybe it's your meat diet.
Yeah,
how's the meat
I've been
diet?
on the carnivore diet recently. Still adjusting. I feel like I don't really want food anymore. I'm just repulsed by it now.
All right, you're on the right track. That's
Am I?
the road
Is
to
that
fasting,
a good
suppose.
sign? I don't
Maybe
know how this all
godliness,
works.
something like that. Ashley, you said you put anti-trans in air quotes when you were describing your book.
That's what they say about it.
Okay, so that's the criticism, but the book itself is about you are what you are, be happy with what you are.
Elephants are not birds, boys are not girls, girls are not boys.
Hi, everyone. Ian Crossan here. Happy to be here. Good to see you again, Ashley. Mary, good to see you.
Hi.
Serge, what's happening, brother?
Yo.
Your
microphone's
or far away from your face.
I'm just not talking into it. Yeah, ready to start the show.
Let's jump into this first story. We got this from the Post Millennial. John Fetterman co-sponsors Senate bill despite being institutionalized since February 15th. Fetterman's office has not said who is co-sponsoring legislation with his name on it while he remains institutionalized. A senior aide revealed that Fetterman would be hospitalized for up to 2 months. So it's clearly not him. I guess that's the important point, is they're saying he's co-sponsoring this bill, but it's probably just a member of his staff. And I got to show you this right here from Twitter, or from John Cardillo on Twitter. He says, this is from February 25th. So it was a while ago. Being told that Fetterman is essentially brain dead. Let me start over. Being told that Fetterman is essentially brain dead and it's being hidden because keeping him in office until August 18th avoids a special election which Republicans would most certainly win. This must be investigated. So here's the best part about this tweet. There's the context gets added to it. And it says, readers added context they thought people might want to know. The August 18th date has no significance. If a senator from Pennsylvania passes away, a replacement appointed by the governor will serve until the next special election. Oh, thank you for the fact check Twitter. No fact check on whether or not Fetterman's brain dead or not. That one they didn't. So I saw that and I was like, okay. A bunch of users said, no, there won't be a special election. He's probably brain dead, but they'll just, replace it. The 18th date doesn't matter. They'll just replace him or something. So is Fetterman brain dead?
They're not debating the brain dead part.
Right. That's what I thought was funny. I'm like, you'd think they'd be like, there's no evidence to suggest that John Fetterman is effectively brain dead. He was institutionalized with depression.
I mean, that's not really a medical term, is it?
Brain dead?
Brain dead? I mean...
it might be.
I don't know. And is this like a cover-up of a suicide attempt?
No.
He's struggling with depression?
The depression's probably fake.
I feel like
that's
Democrat
the fake part?
Yeah, he's probably in the hospital because his brain doesn't work.
Brain death is a thing. It's permanent, irreversible, and complete loss of brain function.
Except for the brain stem, right?
I
guess.
don't know.
The part that controls breathing or whatever.
But they do say it's irreversible, so let me be hyperbolic in this situation.
We'll do an informal poll of the audience. We'll ask the audience, what is more likely, knowing Fetterman's health and medical history, that he is depressed after winning his dream election and checked himself into a hospital where he'll be for up to 2 months, or the man who suffered a stroke not that long ago and still can't understand words had some kind of recurring health issue that has injured his brain further?
I think that depression...
Put a 1 in the chat if you think he's just depressed, and 2 if you think he's brain dead.
I think the Democrat Party is the worst senior care home I've ever seen. I mean, between Fetterman and Biden, they cannot find out. I mean, they never know where these guys are. How do we not know where John Fetterman is?
I don't know.
How do we not know if he's brain dead?
Well, I always roll my eyes a little bit at stuff like this. It is convenient for conservatives on the right to be able to say he's brain dead because the dude's basically not around. So in the world of politics, this is, I don't know, par for the course. Guy goes to the hospital, immediately come out with some salacious rumor that's going to shock and damage the perception of this party. But I'm kind of like, of all the rumors they could have, the dude who had a stroke not that long ago who can't understand words suffering another stroke is completely plausible, because we talked about this before. People who suffer strokes are at risk for suffering them again. And then all of a sudden, dude's in the hospital for several weeks. And get this, his wife is gone. Giselle Fetterman, children, take trip to Canada in wake of Senator's hospitalization.
She's truly a frightful looking woman.
That's what gets me, even if he's not brain dead, right? In what world, when anyone you care about is hospitalized because they're so depressed, do you flee the country?
I think people were ragging on her. And a lot of, like on Twitter, they were like, stop making fun of Fetterman's wife. You're bad people. And it's like, dude,
what?
Her husband's depressed and in the hospital for weeks, and she just went on vacation with her kids. That is like, that's worse than what Ted Cruz did. Like with Ted Cruz, he went on vacation during that ice storm. And it's like, well, he was with his family, though. So at the very least, he cares about his family. This is like the senator's wife, whose husband is a senator, not only fleeing the state, but also fleeing her husband, who is, convalesced. That's dark.
If he's just depressed, then what is the reason to hospitalize unless they think that he's a danger to himself? Like,
I don't know. I guess he checked himself in or something.
If you're depressed, that's the last, like a hospital's the last place you should be. And they would just ship you off to a long-term medical facility that's not hospital.
This guy's a cucumber. He's a cucumber.
I mean, look,
it just doesn't add up to me. And they assign him this authoritarian-looking school teacher woman.
Everybody thought Ruth Bader Ginsburg died that one time. They're like, where is she? She's dead. And then she pops up a few months later like, I'm still here. And, And so I wouldn't be surprised if Fetterman, pops up later. Because you can't, if someone really was brain dead, then they can't keep that covered up forever. So I wonder if I think injury makes more sense. Recurring injury makes more sense, but I don't know about brain dead.
I think
dead.
depression makes a lot of sense. Whenever someone suffers a head trauma, especially fighters, it's pretty common in the fight. They have all sorts of chemical imbalance. A lot of bad things can happen emotionally to people with head trauma. So if he had a stroke, it's very likely that confusion brings on depression.
Maybe.
And then that could have led to stress. It additionally could have led to another episode or another injury as well. But I wouldn't. I think the depression for sure.
What's that thing he's got where he can't understand words anymore? That was the big thing. Like, he can hear when you talk, but all he hears is like a and so
that's problematic.
It's very So during the debates, there was a monitor, and when they would talk, it would translate the text to speech so that he could look at it and then read it, and it was causing him problems.
Yeah, he had the cheat screen.
I wonder if just it got to the point where he's in office, he just can't do the job, and none of us thought he could do the job. And so, he's like...
So humiliating.
Maybe, look, if he is in the hospital, I would say this. If it's not a recurring injury, then it's political. And they probably said, we can't work with you because your brain's broken. Go to the hospital and take a few weeks to see if you can get your head straight, and we'll have your aides take care of the job for you.
And we'll send your wife, too.
Well, I don't know. She fled the
Caribbean vacation.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Where did she go for vacation?
Canada. In the
Canada?
Winter. Canada in the winter is a great...
Does she have family there? Maybe she's got family there.
Here's the story from Penn Live. What happens when your husband or father, a senator to boot, checks into the hospital and media trucks circle your home? Pack the kids up and head to Canada, Giselle Fetterman says. Fetterman recently explained on Twitter that she and her kids left Pennsylvania for a family trip to Niagara Falls to get away from the media coverage surrounding her husband's recovery at Walter Reed Medical Center in Washington, D.C. Fetterman checked himself in to receive treatment for clinical depression on February 16th, according to his chief of staff, Adam Gentelson. He is there on a voluntary basis while his family navigates how to deal with the grief that comes with such a hospitalization. Giselle Fetterman said she and her son ziplined across Niagara Falls, and the family did other scary things together. This is just a really, really weird story, isn't it?
This sounds sick. It sounds sick. And the
Other
people
scary
writing
things.
this.
Yeah, like what? Maybe she's leaving him.
I could see they go into the hospital room and he's like incapacitated almost, like, but he's like, I want you to be happy kind of thing. Like, do it. I would go
So
with you.
she's like, okay, we'll do it. We'll go zip lining over Niagara Falls.
Does he have
I
like
would
a
not be able
Stephen
to do that.
Hawking like voice generator or
He
something?
can talk.
know.
He just can't understand the words that are said to him.
I don't know. He could be in a coma for all I know. I don't know.
That's the rumor.
We don't know. Remember when
The rumor
like
that he's-
Trump got COVID and everyone was like, "Oh, he's dying. He's dying. They're covering it up."
And then he
But
did
then
a video where he
all
was
of the
like,
establishment journalists who didn't want to seem like they were establishment were like, "I hope he dies." Like, they're really ugly people.
This is the thing. I want the best for John Fetterman. I want him to be healthy, which is
Yeah.
why I wanted him to lose, because no person that just had a stroke should be taking on that kind of mental stress. And obviously, and this is why, because
It's the same thing with Joe Biden. I genuinely feel bad for both Joe Biden and Fetterman. I feel like it's elder abuse what they're doing,
man, Joe is like
putting them through the ringer. Neither
well,
of these people
Dianne
should be
Feinstein's in the hospital right now.
but that's shingle.
Yeah, but still, like, how old is she? Can someone look up her age? Yeah. So we didn't even bring this up. We should have mentioned this. Dianne Feinstein's in the hospital. The Democratic Party is, and with all due respect to the elderly, the geriatric party at this point. At least Republicans have, like, they're making fun of the Republican Party and CPAC for the weirdos and the freaks. You had Joe Scarborough on MSNBC call them all weirdos and freaks, and I'm like, at least they're like youngish.
dude, Feinstein's 89.
Especially Mitch
89.
McConnell, she's going to be 90 in June.
Wow. And Nancy Pelosi's still in office. It's just a whole bunch of really old people that are slowly dying. The Democratic and young leftists don't like the Democratic Party. So this could finally be the end of this garbage political party.
And we
How
need
about
term
that?
limits. We need term limits.
I agree.
Across the board.
What about,
down
how
to
about,
Congress?
wait, I got it. Party term limits.
I mean, you got to change parties at some point.
What say you?
A Democrat cannot hold the same office longer than 2 consecutive terms or something like that.
Unless they become a Republican.
So, like, no. Any party. So we do this. If any seat, a senator seat, a congressional seat, is held by a Democrat for, like, let's say term limits. Member of Congress, they can serve 8 years. After those 8 years, you can't have the same person or political party.
Oh, you got to switch the whole thing up. Well, you know what I think? I think they should remove the D's and the R's on all of the ballots.
Agreed.
It should be
talk about
illegal.
this. That way,
illegal.
because
people will
go,
change their name to like Hot Lightning and stuff, and they'll get or like
well,
Aaron Anderson.
I don't think the
and they'll
biggest
call-
issue would
that's
be
called
people
electoral
changing
fraud,
their name
Ian.
to Hot Lightning.
They'll be like, if you can't, if you got to represent yourself just by a piece of text on a paper when the vote comes to stupid voters or people that ignorant
John
voters.
Democrat Smith.
Yeah, they'll be like best choice will be the name, and they'll be like, how does best choice keep winning the elections?
D's nuts.
I'm
one,
kind of
remember?
joking, but I'm concerned that just taking the D and the R off wouldn't be enough because they'd still the
It's a
names would
start.
still. It is a start.
You have to put your legal name.
So we went to Congress a month ago, and we spent some time down there.
Real quick,
interviewed.
Real quick, sorry. Correction. We're not there this week. We're there next
Yeah,
week.
next Friday. We interviewed them, and I got a vibe of why they don't seem to want term limits, why there's pushback, because it's like a fraternity. You go in and they become such close, tight battle buddies, good friends, that like it's almost like losing an arm to see one of them have to go. Like Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz, like they're tight. And if all of a sudden Lauren disappears, it's like, dude, that's like part of our crew, man.
It's not just that. They have to build their offices. When we went there, they were explaining how you get an office and then you have to do remodeling and you've got to set it up. They give you space. That's all you get.
And the staff is all integrated with people of other staffs and stuff. But just that's not enough reason to not have term limits, in my opinion. I just see why there's resistance to it now.
Party term limits and bureaucrat term limits. I think the party term limit thing is, we could even one-up it and say, a Democrat, a member of a party, or I should say a political party, cannot have a member serve within, like we do a gap term. So if a Democrat is in office for 8 terms, then it can't be a Democrat for the next 8 terms, and it can only be, so basically, yeah, that is, after that, it can be the Democrats again. So there's 8 years where it's not the Democratic Party. That means there'll have to be a third party, because if a Democrat district has their person term out, they're not going to vote Republican. So it's got to be a different political party. And that could mean there ends up with, we end up with like 4 or 5 different political parties that are very similar, but whatever, I'll take it. Break up the duopoly of the private political organizations that control everything.
We're overdue for that.
Has that ever happened on Earth in any government that the same party can't hold power?
I don't know.
Multiple terms.
No idea. Let's rag on Joe Biden. How about that? We got this story from Fox News. How dare you? Mother of 2 sons who died from fentanyl demands Biden apologize for laughing about her story. Don't be a coward, do something, Kiesling said in response to President Biden. So here's the story. This woman had 2 of her sons die in summer of 2020. They took some pills they thought were Percocet. They were laced with fentanyl. They died. She's very upset about it. And the drugs apparently came over the southern border, a problem for which Donald Trump was trying to solve and actually campaigned on solving in 2015, a problem that existed under the Obama-Biden administration. So Marjorie Taylor Greene interviews this woman. Marjorie Taylor Greene then tweets out, basically, Biden's policies resulted in this, and like these people died. And then Biden, when asked about it, starts laughing, saying, that was under the other guy. That was under the Trump administration. So she's pissed. Obviously, her kids are dead. And the important point in this whole story is that Donald Trump inherits Joe Biden's administration. It's Obama's administration, but Biden's the VP. Trump, he's campaigning in 2015 like, we got to secure the border. We got to stop the drug cartels. What happens? The media calls him racist. Okay, the Biden administration comes back in after the fact. The border collapses. They claimed when Donald Trump was desperately trying to get funding to build the wall that he was racist and they shouldn't do it, and it wouldn't work anyway. So here you have Joe Biden laughing that these 2 kids who died while Trump was president, despite the fact that Trump was trying to fix the problem. So I imagine it like this. Joe Biden and Barack Obama are in charge of the fire department when a bunch of fires erupt, and they don't do anything about it. And then Donald Trump says, give me the fire hose and I'll put the fire out. Trump then starts desperately spraying these buildings, trying to stop the fire. And then after a few years, Biden comes back, takes it from him, and then laughs at all the people who died in that fire.
Yeah, they were like, are you anti-fire, Donald? Are you fire-phobic?
Yes, I guess. They said when Trump is like, China's sending drugs, they're like, you can't say that, that's racist. Then these kids die and Biden's like, ha, that was Trump.
Is there video of him laughing?
Oh, yeah. He was giving a speech. I don't know if we have the clip in this article,
I doubt he
though.
was laughing in a malicious way. He's just not present of mind.
Yeah, I don't think he knows what he's doing.
He wasn't necessarily laughing at the woman. He was laughing and mocking Marjorie Taylor Greene. But it's like the context of it is Marjorie Taylor Greene says these 2 young men died because of these border policies and it's Biden's fault. And Biden's like, no, it wasn't. Trump was president. It's like, dude, you were the vice president before Trump got in, and Trump literally campaigned on stopping a problem that was happening under your administration. How do you blame Trump for that?
He doesn't understand because Hunter knew where to get the clean ones.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, he's got connections.
I think the Democrats are the party of short-term gains, so they will let the border crisis keep going if it gives them a short-term benefit in terms of economic, puffing up
But then he
economic
gives
numbers.
his State of the Union address and says, well, we got to fix the crisis at the border. We had over 70,000 fentanyl deaths. As if he actually cares when they're the ones creating this problem and throwing gasoline on the dumpster fire at the border. But he did say that at the State of the Union. He pretended to care, at least for a moment.
Can I just,
Someone else wrote that, though.
Joe Biden.
So
Joe Biden laughs at this story, and it was a layup. It was so easy. Someone could have come to him and said, we got a really, really great opportunity to boost your approval rating. It's really, really great. This Marjorie Taylor Greene is talking to this mother whose children died because of the border crisis. There's a perfect opportunity for you to win some points. All you got to do is say, I'm so sorry to hear about what happened to your children. Trust me when I say I will do whatever it takes to seek justice and make sure we end the fentanyl crisis. We are working very hard. I'm sorry we let you down, but trust me, we'll get the job done. Couldn't he just do that? Like, does he have anybody?
don't even have to mean it.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
just give us some empty platitudes about trust
Yeah.
me, we're working hard. No, he laughed.
You don't even need a plan. Nothing.
But look, here's a guy who took a secret trip to Ukraine with $500 million while the East Palestine crisis was happening and there's toxic chemicals spilling. And he's just like, well, better go to Ukraine. That's what matters, to me, I guess. So I'm just kind of bummed.
Yeah, I want to insult him.
yeah,
I don't think it's an insult.
Is he? Come on,
He's a
call
bit
him
of
a
a
name.
prick. I'm going to call him a dismissive prick is what I want to call him. But
Okay.
like, I've seen him just be like, laugh and dismiss people. Like, oh, come on.
Matt Walsh would be proud.
And like, he just laughed and did the whole dismissive thing on Marjorie, which is what this sounds like, is like, that's the laughing and dismissal kind of thing. I've seen him do it to people that are like, hey, like people, his constituents yelling at him when he was on the campaign trail. I remember him get up in a guy's face one time.
He called him fat, didn't he? And he challenged him to a push-up contest.
Wait, who? Biden?
Joe
did?
Biden, yeah.
He's like,
He challenged him to a push-up contest. He got in that guy's
You know
face
what's-
and called him fat.
You know what's funny is that Trump's actually been doing better at, one of the things about Trump that I know a lot of people liked, but a lot of people who voted for him really didn't like was his brash attitude. He was divisive. He'd call people names. He'd insult them. Now what are we seeing from Trump? He's putting out videos that are just like straightforward policy. Corporate press is calling it a traditional campaign, or more so a traditional campaign. And Joe Biden is just laughing about these problems like he's not even planning on running anyway. Maybe that's really it. Maybe he's just saying he's going to run, but he knows he's not. He didn't care. That's
What's
why Kamala
incredible
laughs.
too is they gave Marjorie so much crap for how she acted at the State of the Union because she called him a liar.
Yeah.
But now he laughs in the face of this mother whose 2 kids died, and silence, except from Fox News.
He laughs. Hillary Clinton laughs wickedly. Kamala Harris laughs like an idiot. Like
Hillary Clinton laughs wickedly because she's wicked. Joe Biden laughs because he is
Demented.
demented.
And none of those laughs are because of
There's a
funny
big
stuff.
difference.
Like none of it's because like a joke was told and they're laughing in response. Like
No,
Kamala
yeah.
Harris.
Oh
will
my
just be
gosh,
like,
Kamala Harris's laugh is the most witchy laugh I've ever heard.
It starts off deep. Did you see the girl did the Kamala Harris impression? She's like, no, it starts off deep.
And
Like the
just
Joker
think
or
about
something.
the psychological makeup of a career prosecutor.
It's
like, no, 8 years isn't enough. Throw him in for 30.
to have that amount of power right now and to be laughing about stuff is insane to me. I understand humor. We're human. It's part of what we are. But like, I think they're laughing because they have no vision of how to solve these problems. So they're just.
I think we should just accept it, though. That's who they are. They're laughing at us. They're laughing at us while we die because of problems they created. That's who they are.
Oh, your mic.
What was that?
Nope.
That might have been your
we go.
mic popped
Oh.
out. Yeah.
What were you saying? Say it one more time.
Oh, I said they're laughing at us, and we should just accept it. This is who they are. They're laughing at us while our children die because of problems they created.
Yep. But while they're laughing at us, they're also turning around and going, these poor people in Ukraine. Don't you care about the Ukrainians? And I'm like, I mean, personally,
They're
I
so
know.
disconnected from what matters to normal people.
I mean, yes, they're emotionally attached to people in a country they can't find on a map. but their own country, they just don't care about.
Is this the most morally obvious thing to take a stand on?
I think it's
lowest effort.
Different than that, though. You said they're disconnected. I don't think they're disconnected at all. They know people are starving. They know people can't afford to eat. They can't afford to live here, and they're choosing to care about these other things. They're choosing to laugh in the face.
They know all these things, but they're not personally connected to it. Like, I remember there was this professor from like Columbia or something who years ago published a book about how he's like a functional. Oh, my mic is popping. He's like a functional heroin user, and he's not an addict. He's just a user, but he's obviously like, you know, not connected to the experience of people who in the opioid crisis are on these drugs because you know, they're on the track to a death of despair. And he's also sourcing his heroin like in a way that's safe because of his socioeconomic status. And then he publishes a book that completely downplays the gravity of this crisis because he's not really a part of it, you know? And he's also a libertine, like amoral academic, so he doesn't have any morals. I don't remember what his name was. He was just some like professor, wrote a book that was basically about like how he thinks that harm reduction is the best solution to the opioid crisis, but also like you can use drugs, like you can use narcotics safely if you don't have like pre-existing mental conditions, which is he basically denied that opiates have a pharmacological element of like addictiveness, which is obviously untrue.
Was it that doctor with the dreadlocks? Carl
I don't
something?
remember. Yeah, I don't remember. I never saw a picture of him. I just heard about it.
This is why top-down governance doesn't work. Why central planning doesn't work? Because you lose touch with the people that you're not around. You need to let them govern themselves from a distance. You have to.
That's a mix, man. There's got to be some plan for like national defense. Like the original idea of federalism, you know, there's a federal government, but it's fairly weak, and the states mostly take care of their own business. The problem is, as a culture, we're just too different. I suppose if you go back to the foundings of this country, most people just wanted to be left alone, and that worked really well. Like if you're in, you know, a new state or whatever, you were like, look, I'm here, I'm doing my thing, leave me alone. The problem now is you have authoritarian ideologues in places like California that want authority over Texas and New York. Or, you know, New York and California basically agree on the same things. So they want authority over Texas and Florida. So Texas and Florida can sit there all day and night and be like, we hereby agree to be left alone and we'll leave you alone. And California goes, you got it, buddy. And then as soon as they turn around, they go, start screwing with them. So I don't know how you, I don't know if there's a classical liberal solution to the problem we're facing, right? In times of war, like, I'll put it this way, anarchist societies don't work, right? We can talk about, I think, Catalonia, the famous anarchist attempt at a country. I forgot what the story was. But they try to create this anarchist enclave and it gets crushed instantly by barbaric outside forces. If you've got 100, you know, guild members who vote on policy because that's an anarchist system, everybody comes together and they wiggle their fingers. And then next door, you've got an authoritarian regime where one guy dictates everything. What do you think's going to happen? The one guy dictating everything is going to say to his military, crush them. And then when the anarchist people see the barbarians heading towards the city, they go, we're under attack. Quick, what do we do? And they're like, well, we're anarchists. We don't believe in centralized planning. So let's hold a meeting and have a discussion on how do we approach this attack. And then a day later, they're overrun and they're all dead. You know, you could have some kind of mixed system where in times of emergency, they elect an executor who can then take over and become a temporary emperor, like we saw with, I think it was Cincinnatus. Was that his name?
Yeah.
He was like, dude. Right. He's like, I don't want to be an emperor. And they're like, well, we're in an emergency and we need one now to act with executive, you know, emergency powers. And then after like 2 weeks, he was like, I'm out. I'm a farmer again. I don't want to do this. And it's like an epic story. But the issue is in times of crisis and emergency, we fall into executive decision making. We don't just sit back and say, let's vote on it. So right now, as we're dealing with a cult, ideological, authoritarian and terroristic regime, there is no passive voting your way out of a conflict with these people. They're firebombing buildings. They're sterilizing kids. Vote like there is no peaceful, let's all come together and have a decision. No, it's going to be For now, I think the solution is probably hard legislation and law enforcement. No more, we have to be tolerant of the adult man thrusting his hips in front of that baby. No, that's a crime, and that person should probably be arrested and charged. And it's about time we stop passively saying, we'll just let them do their thing because it doesn't bother us. Hey, look, we're here in Texas, and in Texas we have laws. But if California wants to do it, that's California's business. That's federalism. And that's what people are arguing for. And I'm kind of like, nah, maybe the federal government should be like, there's a standard and you can't have adult sex shows for children, so we're going to stop that. But too many conservatives are telling me that civil war is it can't happen. The country would be crushed. China would take over. Fair point. I agree. And then they say federalism is the answer. Let the states do what they want. And I'm like, why? So California can start having sex shows for kids? Like, they've been doing that. They're doing it in Texas. I don't see a classical liberal solution to this. There's going to have to be a centralized baseline morality that we all agree on. So, and then we enforce the law.
And we're seeing it in California now with the gender transition stuff, making that a safe haven for kids to go to California. So if you can't get it in Texas, you can go over to California and get it done.
Just like abortion.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this idea of federalism just means that you're going to have states that do things that are
morally abhorrent.
But you're going to have two factions. If you want to avoid civil war, the answer is have the laws be enforced at the federal level. California cannot just let illegal immigrants come into the state and there's nothing done about it.
The problem is the selective enforcement, which is probably useful because, like, marijuana, Schedule 1 narcotic. Are you insane? It's like a plant. Like, don't OD on it. But they're obviously, William Randolph Hearst wanted to get that stuff made illegal in the late 20s, early 30s to get his paper empires. He owned all the trees. He was tired of printing on hemp. He wanted to print on his trees. So he manipulated Harry Anslinger and Congress to make it a narcotic. Federal 1 scheduled narcotic. That's insane. And if the federal government goes into California to bust them up for selling weed, I do not agree with that overreach of federal law.
Yeah, but that's something that's debatable. These issues like drag queens thrusting in front of kids shouldn't be.
Now, I think it should be debated. It has to be debated now because of it, because of the situation.
I don't think there should be any debate. I'm not willing to have a conversation or hear anyone's side on why you think a man dressed as a woman who's wearing a thong and leather get-ups should be reading to our children.
Reading? We're not talking. We're well past
dancing,
that.
thrusting, pole dancing. They're doing all of this.
So we talked about Bill Maher the other day. He's got that clip on CNN where he said the transgender activists have gone too far. And there was a bit of context that I think we missed because Jake Tapper says, yes, but what the trans activists would say is that now they're trying to ban all of this stuff regardless of what the kid or the doctor says. And Bill Maher says, well, perhaps that backlash went too far. Well, hold on there a minute, Bill. Bill Maher actually said the banning of child sex change surgery went too far. When did Bill Maher start being in favor of children getting sex change operations? Because he's defending it now, saying, no, that's too much. That's too much. We should allow that. And I'm just like, within the span of a couple of years, like literally 2 years, we went from there are no child sex change surgeries to they are, but they're rare to the backlash against it is going too far and it should be completely legal for all children.
The pace
in like 2 years.
The pace is incredible in which this all became widely accepted.
And I blame cops, but this is probably part of the weakening of institutions, defund the police. Now you have in Texas, the famous story was they were doing the adult sex show for children where it said like it's not going to lick itself and all that. Mm-hmm. And then the cops were like, well, I can't get involved in this kind of stuff. And it's just like, are you kidding me? There are adult men with fake sex organs dancing for children with a big sign that says it's not going to lick itself. And you're just going to stand there. Well, it's.
But they shut down that woman in Texas for operating her salon during COVID.
Yep. That's why I've been like, abolish the police. Like, look at all the major news that's been coming out for the past several years. Why? I mean, there was a woman who opened a cafe in Minnesota and it was against the COVID rules. So they hunted her down and arrested her. Yet you can have adult men with fake genitals thrusting in front of children with a big neon sign saying it's not going to lick itself. And the cops are like, well, now, we can't get involved in this. And people are like, back the blue, baby. I'm like,
people
okay,
with
sure, I guess.
actual pride in this country and like its founding principles have less and less incentive to become cops and also military service members. So like more and more, it's just going to be corrupt, power hungry people in the police force anyway. But aside from that, like, are we not going to recognize the relationship between like accepting adult sex change surgeries, that starting us on the path to accepting the child sex change surgeries, like that's where it starts.
Well,
right.
the interesting thing about that I've been talking about is it's the one DSM-5 disorder where we decide to affirm, right? If you're body dysmorphic and you want to remove a hand, we say no. If you're anorexic, we say no. If you're morbidly obese, well, we're starting to say yes to that. I don't say we, but body positivity. If you are cutting, we say no. If you have pica, where you're like eating pennies, we say no. But if you want to remove your junk, we say okay. And I have to wonder if it's because there are people who are thinking about like, well, they won't have kids, so that works out. Like that's their mentality. But I just don't. I'm genuinely asking why it is that for all of the dysmorphic disorders and all of the general DSM-5 disorders, the one we affirm is the one that sterilizes people. Like when someone's anorexic, we don't say go to the doctor and get your Ozempic and your pills. We say you better start eating. The doctor says start eating.
The top two issues for the Democrats right now are abortion and the transgender affirming care.
Why do we affirm this one? Like I was talking about this the other day. I tweeted it when someone they say like, oh, but if we don't give them the care, they're at high risk for suicide. And I was like, oh yeah, that's called the 5150. If someone is presenting signs of self-harm, they get involuntarily committed so they can receive treatment to stop them from wanting to harm themselves. We try to save them from this. If somebody is standing on a bridge about to climb over the railing, people run up and grab them and pull them up. They don't say, well, I better affirm their decision. Why don't you?
Well,
but they're starting to with medical assistance in dying.
To accept assisted suicide and euthanasia.
Suicide
and also,
booths were a joke, man.
I see people talking about accepting mental illnesses as well, like as just a fact of your life that is not circumstantial. And, if you're depressed and you don't want to get out of bed or brush your teeth, then that's a disability and you should get government money for it. Basically, like that's a condition you were born with.
Did you see that viral TikTok where the I think it's a woman, she's like, why do I have to work full time just to live? And it's like, seriously, that's their attitude. Yep. I'm like, entropy, I guess, oxidization, your body falls apart unless you do. It's like,
that's because office job work, like normal corporate America work, is kind of soul sucking. So I get why she said it.
I got to be honest. If, I was about to enter the gates of eternity and they said there's one where you're sitting in an office all day and one where you have to hunt and forage for survival, I'd go with the hunting and foraging.
Exactly, yeah.
That's for me.
Have you ever hunted? I don't know. That's a lot of.
Well, I wouldn't. Nothing
you never
like.
Know if, yeah, you don't know if you're going to eat. You don't know if you're going to find food.
Right. What I'm saying is like, if I had to choose a life between farming, how about that, and office work, I'd choose farming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's.
Oh man, like have you? Come on, we've all seen Office
would.
Space.
The office work is pretty.
Like
good.
it's a fair point. These people are going into jobs and they're just like, I sit here staring and doing nothing but this remedial garbage.
They're also
It's boring.
overqualified, and like knowing too much is torturous. When like you're not really put to use in society, you're given this like meaningless email job that is useless and isn't a building block to anything important.
Yeah.
Of course, people are going to end up depressed and they're going to wonder, like, why am I even working anymore?
Yeah, the Federal Reserve.
But they won't exercise.
The Federal Reserve really wants people to work. This jobs economy where they're like, we need jobs. You dig the hole. Now you fill the hole back up. We're going to pay you both with our funny money and you owe us interest on the money we gave you. Now go. And that's what they want. They have people doing menial, almost sometimes even useless, literally. Dig it, fill it up. As long as to keep people are busy.
I love this leftist meme where they're like, did you know that in medieval times people didn't work? And they had, what do they say? Like 50 days.
It was a communist utopia.
Yeah, they say that the medieval peasants had like 50 days of vacation and only worked like 4 hours a day and stuff like that.
By the way, because they were religious, they observed religious holidays. It's not vacation.
Right. But it's not just that. It's like, I love telling the story of my Occupy friend who went to work on a farm to reduce their carbon footprint. They lasted 2 weeks. And they said it was because they were working sun up to sundown. It's like you wake up, you work, then you work until it's dark and you go to bed.
And it's like what happened with Chaz. They were like, this is too much work to have an autonomous zone.
Or with Occupy,
back to the empire.
Yeah.
With Occupy, their inability to govern.
Yeah.
So with Occupy Wall Street, they tried doing the anarchist general council or whatever.
Yeah, I was there.
But when it didn't work, they were like, okay, we can't figure out how to find unanimity.
Unanimity?
Is that the word?
Something like that. But it is unanimous.
In order for there to be a functioning anarchist society, everyone has to agree with minimal dissent. That meant when they were trying to make a decision, you could have one or two dissenters, but it had to be like 95% of people in agreement.
And when one bad idea got into that group, it spread like fire, or had the potential to. And then all of a sudden you get 98% of the people are like, bad idea now. And
but what ended up happening was you had a handful of people who knew for a fact, if we don't get bins to store clothing, it's getting soggy wet, it's growing mildew, it's getting filthy, and our food is spoiling. We need bins to seal this stuff from the rain. And they couldn't get it done. Because every time they would say, we want to use funds to buy bins, they would be like, no, plastics are bad for the environment. No, it's got to be recycled. It's got to be fair trade. It's got to come from a mom and pop shop. And so they finally agreed, okay, you can get the bins so long as they're fair trade, recycled, not from a box store. And they couldn't find that. It was impossible. So what did they do? They just went and bought from Walmart or whatever they could find. And then just didn't tell anybody. Because the anarchist system just literally didn't work. You couldn't find it. And so when it came to that system being broken, a bunch of these facilitators were like, how about we create a new system called the Spokes Council? Well, the problem was it was a General Assembly. Nobody would agree. They were like, no, you are not changing the system because you can't get what you want. So then one day, there was the funniest thing ever. They all say, all in favor of the new Spokes Council system. And like 2/3 of the people clap. And then the third are like blocking and saying no. And the guy goes, let me count. Yeah, we passed. It worked. And then it was just like, no, it didn't. You're just saying that. And people went along with it. Because like, what are you supposed to do? The guy talking said it happened. It happened.
The last night I was at Occupy with the council, we were working on, they wanted to build a decentralized Craigslist kind of thing where you could send items to people that need it, like protesters. And that was the idea. Maybe a technological solution is the way to develop anarchy. I don't know whatever happened to it, though.
Decentralized Craigslist.
Yeah. I guess Craigslist itself is not technically decentralized on a bunch of servers, but the idea is you work with the seller. You don't have to go through a central portal, so it was a bit redundant.
Like Craigslist for philanthropic causes?
Yeah, it was supposed to be.
By the way, the rants and raves section on Craigslist is top tier, better than Twitter.
Yeah.
I love it.
Maybe we should make a show based on that.
Craigslist?
Just reading Craigslist rants.
You ever read like
ones?
the misconnections?
Yeah. Me and my friends used to make fake ones.
Saw you at the studio, but you were deep in the computer.
We had one where it was like, I see you all the time. I saw you at work. I don't think you noticed me. And then like it increasingly got darker and darker where it was like, I remember seeing you walk home. You were so beautiful. I don't know if you've noticed me, but I want to give you my number. I was, standing outside your house. I looked through your window, things like that. Just really funny. But actually, it sounds like a really good idea. We should write that down, like commenting on Craigslist rants.
Yeah, you're actually writing it down.
Yeah, let's jump to this story. This one's a good one. So we have this fact check from WTHR. Viral video of Biden saying he's reinstating the draft is a deepfake. In the video, President Joe Biden appears to say he's reinstating the draft so the U.S. can help defend Ukraine against Russian forces. The video is a deepfake. I love that this was fact-checked because it was made by Turning Point. It was on Jack Posobiec's show, and he outright says that it's not a real. Like he explains, we are showing you of what is to come, and it's meant to be provocative, and then the media is like, uh-oh, people might think this is real. All right, well, here's why I think this is worth talking about. Election season's coming up. We are going to see deep fakes, and they are going to improve at the speed of maximum economic investment.
And they're going to be hilarious.
Yeah, but some of them are going to be scary. But yeah, hilarious too. Like the one of Joe Biden and Trump playing Overwatch was one of the funniest.
They keep making them. There's one with Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson, and then Elon comes in. He's like, "You sons of bitches! I can't fight the boss."
The Overwatch one was just too good. Yeah, I saw that. No, but the Overwatch one was good. He was like, "Jesus Christ! I come in here try to get a quick cue, and it's Bidenator, and it's Trump saying it." But no, what I think we're going to see is how much money do they invest in presidential elections? It's got to be what? Billions? Billions. It was I think Obama was $1 billion. So now imagine how much money is going to be on both sides for an election, especially with how crazy things are getting in this country. And they are going to be investing. People are going to invest tens of millions into advancing deepfake technology. I guarantee it right now. Some political person, I don't care what political party, saw this and they said, if we can make this impeccable, we will never lose another election again. And so they're meeting right now with deepfake companies saying, and I bet a lot of it is totally like seemingly on the level. Some guy who's got nefarious intentions goes to an AI company and says, hey, I want to invest $1 billion into the development of this technology. And they go, wow, that's really great. Thank you for the funding. And what they intend to do with it is make realistic videos that are indistinguishable. And so my fear is not that you will see a video go viral of Joe Biden reinstating the draft. Why? Well, people are going to be like, get out of here. He never did. It's a deep fake. But what they'll do is you'll have a real video of Donald Trump saying we should condemn them totally, referring to white supremacists and neo-Nazis. And what they'll do is they'll make an impeccable deepfake replica where he says, and some of them should be condemned totally, a very minor difference, but a drastic change in the context.
And then you run it on CNN, and then if they get caught, they're just like, we didn't know.
And not even, no, it's not even that. They're going to say, that's the video. And then Trump's going to sue and say, that is not what was said. Here's the actual report. And you're going to say, look, there's 12 different videos, all seemingly of the exact same thing. We don't know which one's the real one. Because everybody knows Trump gave the speech. Everybody knows Trump says something about condemning Nazis. But the only difference is they should be and some of them should be.
It's like a weapon. It's like a strike first kind of thing. Like the ethics of striking first is, beyond me. I don't like them.
What's going to happen is Democrats will share the video of Trump going, and I'm not talking about the white nationalists because some of them should be condemned totally. And they're going to go, he said some of them. Like he's implying there may be some good ones there, and they're all going to share it. And it's going to infect that bubble. And then you're going to get the right being like, no, he said they should be. He was talking about all of them. And there's going to be two different versions of one news event existing for both different political factions.
So it's going to be no different than it is now.
That's very different.
Right now, they're listening to the same thing and having
but you can still. So I was at a family holiday event, and I was talking about how China was potentially getting access to the DNA from COVID tests. And, one individual was like, what? Get out of here. That's BS. That's not true. You can't say that. And then I just pulled up my phone, pulled up NPR reporting it, and I handed it to them. And they read it and they went, oh, wow, I didn't know that. And I'm like, you're sitting here thinking I'm wrong about this. I was just citing NPR of all sources. What happens when they go, no, and they pull up a video and they show you the video and you go, that's not a real video. They'll say, you're a conspiracy theorist and you're lying. I have the video.
So what's the best way to authenticate those, though?
Impossible.
Deepfakes?
Yeah.
We were talking about that today in one of our development meetings. I don't know. I think it's going to have to be either the person verifies the video themselves, and if it's a video of you that you don't verify, then there's no verification.
I think it's going to be a lot easier to verify the real ones rather than sniffing out all the fake ones.
But then people like Project Veritas will try and catch someone, and they'll be like, no, I don't. That wasn't a real video.
Yep.
So you've got to be like, at some point. The other idea is to build like a headset or some sort of tech that you can use that can see that it's a deep fake somehow.
No.
That can tell if it's AI.
You got to understand the full sphere of what this means. A video will come out of, say, a guy at Pfizer saying something ridiculous like we're mutating the virus or who knows what.
Yeah.
And then what'll happen is a Veritas-like organization will say, here's a video of the guy saying they're mutating the virus. What they'll then do is they will make, using that video, another deepfake and say, yes, but here's the part they cut out. And then all of a sudden you'll see another video where the guy goes, could you imagine if like someone from these companies said something as crazy as we're mutating these viruses so that we can make more money? That would be insane. And then everyone will go, oh, Veritas cut the context out. He was talking about how crazy it would have been if someone did it. No, he didn't actually say it. Wow, that proves Veritas is lying. You see the point?
I could see that in other cases. In a case like Veritas, they have all the footage.
Yeah, but how do you prove a negative? If an organization, to defend itself, deep fakes your video, you can't prove the video doesn't exist. You can only prove a video does exist. So you'll get a video of Trump saying something like, we're going to build a big, beautiful wall. And then the left you'll get a combination of offensive and defensive deepfakes. The left will make a video where Trump is like saying something somewhat offensive to add context, making it seem like he's racist. And then to defend against it, the Republicans will add another bit where Trump is saying, can you believe what so-and-so said? He said this. And they'll just keep trying to change the context with deepfakes. Think about what happens if you get filmed and someone leaks audio of you saying something offensive. You can you can say, hey, that's out of context. That I wasn't actually saying.
Probably wasn't.
So if Ian came on the show and said, I don't like buttered popcorn, and that clip went viral, people would be like, wow, he doesn't like buttered popcorn. If Ian said, no, that's bad, he would just make a deepfake of him saying, I would never say something like, I don't like buttered popcorn. And that inverts the context. And that's what you can do with deepfakes too. It's going to be wild, man. $1 billion per campaign plus, and how much of that money can get invested in making stuff like this? Remember the meme wars in 2015, 16? Ramp it up, baby, because you're going to get a combination of, you're going to get subliminal, liminal, and superliminal deepfakes. Superliminal deepfakes are going to be someone being like, and here's a new meme of Joe Biden singing the chicken song. And it'll just be Joe Biden, it'll be silly. Then you'll get stuff that are liminal, I'm doing air quotes, a Simpsons joke, that are more like what Jack Posobiec did, where it's, some people might get confused by it, but he says what he's doing. And then the subliminal is when they just leak stuff and then don't say anything about it and people fall for it.
They should do one of Fetterman.
I mean,
That'd be cool.
But it would just be dead. It would be dead air.
Yeah, how would you?
He's not.
How
speaking.
would you know if they released a deep fake of Fetterman right now, saying, "Look, here's your proof of life."
Exactly. And then what happens when? Get this. John Hodgkinson runs for Senate, and everyone sees videos of him standing at the podium cheering. Everybody sees interviews with him talking about his policies, and there is no John Hodgkinson. It's a AI deepfake character that appears in the media, that appears on YouTube, that does this campaigning, and you'll see people in YouTube and they're cheering for him. He'll have commercials where he says, "Vote for me, because I believe in making America great again." And then everyone's like, "I'm going to vote for this guy," and he's not real.
I think you made a good point that if Fetterman had a deepfake, because when they deepfake Biden, it's obvious it's a deepfake a lot of times because you can't hear the imperfections, like you can't hear the degraded quality in his brain. And a lot of times when people
too
are
perfect.
Yeah, and when people are singing with songs, if the machine builds it, you can kind of tell it's like robotically perfect. And so there's this imperfective quality to human behavior that possibly cannot be captured by a computer. If we could somehow perceive that.
In certain contexts, I at least agree with that. Yeah.
I think it will be, though, and that's what's scary is I feel like the technology is evolving a lot quicker than we are. I feel like we're pretty dumb compared to what we've created. And that's where a lot of this chaos is coming from, because we are not equipped or evolved to live in the world we created.
Those videos of like Gen Zers being like, "Why do I have to have a job?" They are going to be the first in line to go into the pod. They're going to say, "You're right about this. You shouldn't have to. Step into pod, where we will hook feeding tubes right into your gullet and then put the VR helmet on, and you'll live in digital world where you can be whatever you want to identify as."
I thought you meant the suicide booth.
Well, that too.
They
but,
created that mentality by making it so miserable to live and survive for these kids. I mean, Gen Z gets a bad rap for being so nonchalant about it, but wouldn't you? You're never going to own anything. Most of them are not going to own houses or cars or anything. I don't really blame them.
They've been lied to about most things, and especially like the gender stuff. Like, think about being a they them on hormones working at Starbucks and there are like 20 mobile orders. Like, I wouldn't. And then you have like social anxiety disorder and stuff, and like
they all have disorders.
I mean,
all anxious.
it's just like, it's not an enviable position.
It's boring. I agree with that. But like look at people come back from the jungle after losing a leg. Like, I don't see combat vets complaining and bitching about how hard life is.
Adrienne Curry says, "Send them to Ukraine." I agree.
That's the thing.
Send all the TikTokers to Ukraine.
Any one of these people who wants to wave Ukrainian flag and complain about what's going on, I say we send them right over.
Like, it's hard. I do agree that life has become treacherously dull for people, especially being lied to about the military-industrial complex and then realizing you're part of the empire is like, what the fuck am I doing?
I mean, the reason they wouldn't go to Ukraine is because they're like languishing the fact that they know that they're useless. Like, that's they know that they would instantly die in a combat situation, and that's like demoralizing even worse.
Not Adam Kinzinger.
How much you want to bet?
Winzinger.
That story of you will live in the pod, you will eat the bugs, you will own nothing, and you will be happy. They're probably going, please, it can't come soon enough.
They are. They are. I will tell you, Gen Z has that attitude. I see a lot of the dialogue, especially when they're talking about, if there was an apocalypse, they're saying, wow, you guys' will to live is incredible. I'd let it all happen. So I think these kids are severely depressed. I think they don't really have much purpose because we've hyper fixated on individualism in this narcissistic society. So these kids are just focusing on only themselves, and they have a meaningless life because they have no other purpose except themselves. So once we took away that community,
not even themselves.
Yeah.
Well, the future's sounding pretty good, huh?
I imagine kids are like the ultimate purpose. Because I've been gaming a lot and just keep thinking like, what is the freaking purpose of life? I keep rinsing and repeating the same thing. There's no goal. There's no like quest to finish. There's no experience gained. I don't get the ding when I do the thing. It's just nonstop.
The
Keeps happening.
indomitable human spirit and like the drive to produce the next generation.
To do what though? Eat more candy bars and watch more TV? Like what?
Go to space.
That's what I'm going through. And I think
That's-
having children is a big part. I haven't done
Go
it
to
yet.
space.
Go to Mars. I
Just
go to Mars right
exploration.
Keep
now.
pioneering.
Maybe it's different
you
for
know?
everybody. Explorations for some people.
See, my dreams for the future cannot be accomplished in a single lifetime. You know, I am not driven by having a fancy car or an infinity pool. I'm driven at the thought of a spaceship traveling the galaxy with a bunch of people on it being like, you know, we're 17 light years away, sir. Engage warp. You know, that sounds pretty
What are
awesome
you
to
going to
me.
find up there?
You know,
just
rocks.
blackness.
You know, maybe
People
Rocks.
get bored of that too.
Like I've tripped my balls off and seen the craziest stuff and like experienced the most, bending reality. And it's still just like, now what? Like even while I'm tripping, I'm like, okay, the bug is dancing on my arm. What is this?
Existential
All
crisis,
things will
bro.
die. And I'm like crying.
Relationships are
That sounds
the only thing that
horrible.
really matters.
Yeah,
This doesn't
That's-
sound like a good
that's
time,
the-
Ian.
Traveling
both
to
the
space
upside and the
doesn't
downside of
matter.
LSD.
nothing technically matters, but for
No,
me, it's
I
all about
mean-
negative entropy. My
Things matter.
Just watch helping other people. Because when I
what
feed
matters
Bucko,
is creating more organization, is organizing free energy into complex systems. That's it.
I feel really good whenever I feed Bucko and he's happy. Like the cat that I've been taking care of.
Tim, would you go to Mars if Elon told you you can get on a spaceship right now and go?
No.
You wouldn't?
Nope.
Would
Oh,
you?
You just said you want to go on a spaceship.
I didn't say I wanted to go on a spaceship. I said I want
You just wanna
humans
watch
to go on
it?
spaceships.
Well, it's
you-
cringy when they shoot themselves up into space and then just come back down like you didn't really do anything. You just sat there.
Mars right
Let
now
it
is
happen.
You're
to
looking
you.
at spaceships getting shut up, and you're like, "Oh, that's."
it's a
cringe.
one-way trip. If you go to Mars, you're staying on Mars for the rest of your life.
Would you go orbit Mars and then come back?
I'd go to Mars.
Probably not.
It's like an 8-week journey or something.
Maybe they could
humans
terraform it.
humans don't understand how much of their life is nothing but humans. I mean, it's like you've got to remind them. Go out into the middle of nowhere and see how much anything matters. You'll care about your survival, but you will start begging for humans.
Well, that's why people are so sad. We took away that community, and people think that they have it in social media, but really we've been so divided, and our neighbors have been demonized, and your neighbor's going to kill you if they take off the mask. It's just we lost that community a long time ago.
This is why solitary confinement is torture.
Yeah.
I've noticed
Literally,
that
it's classified as torture.
with my friends, air quotes, on the internet. I have 1,800 friends on Facebook. How many friends do I actually have in life? 13?
It's a false
28?
sense of
I don't know.
community that we get on social media.
Yeah, family is like the major component. 'Cause I think when you get older, you care a lot less about when you're in school and you have a peer group, you're forced to be around them. You are told by the system, like, here you're doing this thing. It's either school or work. And so you have friends because of this confined space. But when humans are set off to be on their own, they focus on family, which is moving down instead of, your peer group is to your left and right. Your family is the generation below you. You'll care a lot more about that, and you'll strive for a lot more for that than you would just friends. So as you get older, family is the human component that people need. That's why you were just saying, man. Like, you don't get the dopamine hit. If you had a kid, you would. And that's why it's crazy. You get that Chelsea Handler video where she's like, I don't have kids, so I get to wake up, do drugs, and masturbate. And I was like, that sounds like what a 16-year-old would say, lady.
It's not just that, but it's her implication that having children is humiliating.
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah, and that like living for pleasure is the only way that a woman can like reach her potential. Like, I mean, I'm sure you, Ashley, like having become a mother, understand that it's like very demeaning when that message is constantly pushed.
Oh, absolutely. That's you're free. That's the best way you can live, is not having children. My kid is the best thing that ever happened to me. But I also understand that it's getting tougher to have families. You don't have that village anymore to help raise kids.
Yeah, it takes a
and
village.
so a lot of these things too seem so silly that are in the news and stuff, because you have people who can't raise families the way that we're supposed to. It's not ideal circumstances to have families, and I'm fortunate enough that I can provide, but a lot of people can't. And I understand that they don't have that village, they don't have the community, they don't have the economic resources. So it's kind of twofold, where you want to promote family values and tell everyone to have families, and that's your purpose. But it's also very hard for people to do that now. So
There are a bunch
I
of
kinda,
people trying to take your kid away from you as well.
I see both sides. And yeah, exactly. You send them off to school. You send your son to school and you come back with his daughter.
It's daycare, it's school, it's gender transition.
That word care,
programs.
I don't like that word care, man. Like what's caring about? Daycare? Like, are they really being cared for? They just call it care.
Oh yeah,
Gender
the neglect
affirming care.
and the abuse in those places is mind-blowing. And also elder abuse is getting worse. The most vulnerable people in our society are being abused.
Because we don't take care of our community.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you been able to find the tribe or?
Yeah, and I'm fortunate enough to have a good support system, but I think that's where conservatives kind of fall short is that, you push these family values, but they're not really pushing any legislation or policies or changes to make it easier to have families
incentivize it,
and for families to survive. So I do think that Republicans tend to play on the defense instead of offense, and they're not making pro-family policies. They're not making it easier for people to find that purpose.
I found with all the cool people I'm meeting doing this show that I haven't really made any friends out of it. Like I'm Jack Posobiec. I love you, Jack. I like Jack.
Love Jack.
He's cool. He's like, if me and him hung out, we'd be friends. But
Yeah.
I don't see him, and like I'm realizing the community
You're an adult,
part,
bro.
like the community part of it is missing. For me, that's what I haven't been doing lately. It's like I barely even talk to you, dude. I see you.
This is your fault.
I know.
It's a therapy session.
Yes. Everybody comes here and they're like, I hung out at Timcast Castle for like 3 days. I never saw Ian once. And like, we're all downstairs. We had a Super Bowl party, bro.
just said he didn't see you for 3 days.
Yeah, a lot. I love you.
We had a Super
You're
Bowl
so
party.
elusive, Ian.
What happened
we
is
miss you.
I started making internet videos in 2006, and I was like, I can be friends with everybody. I'm going to do what Jesus would have done if he had this tech. And then I got burnt out. I was like, I can't. I started to become friends with people that were depressed, and then I would start to get depressed. And I was like, I can't be around other people because they're freaking me out.
Because you use the tech, right?
Because what?
Is that not why?
It was part of it. I was meeting people from all over Earth, random people that I had nothing in common with, that I was taking in their behaviors and idiosyncrasies and values and things before I even knew who they were. And I would get like demons. I mean, they were like the darkness in humanity would start to seep into me.
Is this drug induced?
Lots of weed. That's probably part of it too. Is I couldn't control myself, my emotions, because I was so open from my neurons all going at once.
Here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do, Ian. We're launching that show, Poker with the Boys. All right, and it's meant to just be like a boys show, hangout. There'll be girls there too. It's not just boys, but like the general idea is to hang out with your friends style podcast where people are smack talking, ribbing on each other. Probably talk whatever is in current news, but it won't be a news show like this. And you just got to come to it.
What another problem I'm having, maybe people identify with this, is I don't like small talk. I'd just rather be silent and sit in silence with someone, which is very awkward.
It depends
for
what
other
you mean
people.
by small talk. I think like small talk is part of recognizing the dignity of the person in front of you. You know, niceties are also kindness.
So small
Making
talk
them feel
being
welcome, hospitality.
just more like understanding
I feel like
someone's
people who
vibration.
say I hate small talk are actually not you, Ian, but like they are the people who call themselves sapiosexuals and stuff. Like you're not as deep as you think. Like small talk is deep. Like you're recognizing the person across from you.
Elevate the conversation if that's your issue, Ian. If someone's like, so what did you do yesterday? And you're like, I had lentil soup. And I'm like, oh yeah, how was that? Go, let's talk about philosophy and quantum physics. Have you ever read about string theory?
I do that.
choice.
It's somewhat odd, but when people,
It'd be hilarious. I think it'd be funny.
I'll try it.
Ian, like everyone says this, but you like talking to you is an intense experience because like no one pays that close attention to me. Like anyone talking to you just feels like, whoa, you're like actually looking me in the eye and listening to what I'm saying and responding accordingly. Like that's a rare experience in human conversation, and it's a good thing.
Do you think it's becoming more common?
No.
I think people are disassociating from each other.
Yeah.
And they're spending more times in virtual spaces and virtual reality and video games and things like that. They're not having kids. I gotta tell you, there's professional athletes and musicians that I'm a huge fan of, and I'm like, they got no kids. But look, I'm gonna be 37 in a week. I don't got any kids either. And that's kind of crazy to me. And so, private business, but there's an intention for me to have a family. But there are a lot of people I see who are now in their 50s that I grew up watching and looking up to a certain degree, have no families at all. And I'm like, that's it. That's the end of their genetic influence. Their legacy ends with them. Now, there are a lot of people who have kids. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people have kids. But there are just some rock stars and pro athletes. And I'm just like, man, they just didn't have any families. That kind of bums me out because it means like the life lessons and the genetics, the combination of these things that made them who they were, such great people that had a tremendous positive impact on the world, gone.
Yeah.
With them, gone. And I'm not saying their kids are going to grow up to become famous or anything. They might, be, dickheads or something.
And that why is what I'm interested in. Why do we have so many people making choices that really are against our biological nature? Most people, given the ideal circumstances, I think, would have children and families. So why are there so many people?
My original thought was I got really red pilled in 06, 07. I felt pretty alone, but I was like, okay, I'm going to have to make a self-sacrifice. I'm going to have to let my body be destroyed in order to speak up against the military industrial complex. They're not going to have it. Jesus got killed for it. I'll probably get killed for it. That was my roll in the dice. I'm like, I don't have kids because I don't want to leave them fatherless. And that was kind of set me on the last 15 years. But I'm at the same, I don't want to leave them fatherless, but I'm not going to stop talking. We refuse to back down. And maybe, I don't know.
When people say, like, I don't want to bring a kid into this world. Like, the world is just such a scary place and it's only getting worse. Like, how could I subject someone to grow up in a world like this? And, like, yeah, there are unique factors to, like, why living today is different, maybe worse in a lot of ways. But I think people are just afraid of, being the person with the biggest impact on an impressionable person. Like, they're afraid of passing down their own mediocrity.
I think it's also just a really scary world to raise a kid in. Like, we're fighting to not have
it always
men
has been,
pole dancing in front of children.
Sure, but we had a Cold War with like nuclear weapons in Cuba kind of thing.
This has always been a harsh world.
Yeah.
It was harsh in a different way. I mean, they are really trying to take our children from us, is what they're trying. I mean, they are stealing the innocence of our children.
There's that
same thing with the Vietnam War.
Yeah. I mean, communism was spreading like crazy.
Ugly things.
We've talked about that Whatever podcast quite a bit, which they have these clips going viral, and there's one.
I love that guy. What's his name? Chase?
Chase was the second guy.
Based.
That video where he's like, I don't want to bang a dude or whatever. But there's one where there's a woman saying she doesn't like talking stages.
I saw that one too.
What is she's referring to, like the wait 3 days before calling kind of thing? Is that what she's talking about?
No. A lot of people were giving her grief because she wasn't very articulate.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I think what she was saying was actually kind of... She's upset that Gen Z really doesn't have traditional dating periods. Yeah. You're just kind of hooking
There's
up.
There's no definition to
anything. Stage. So in a way, she really was yearning for that. Hey, we maybe should go back to like traditional dating.
Well, that's what I was trying to get to.
She wasn't able to articulate
and
it.
Maybe
well.
It took her 60 whole seconds to articulate that one sentence. But and by the way, it must be like kind of a purgatory to have that stunted level of English, But yeah, I did understand her point.
I think it's also hard for her and like other Gen Z people to say like, hey, people are only hooking up with me now. Nobody actually wants to date anymore.
And she genuinely doesn't understand.
All right, here's the video.
Why people are giving her bad faith advice.
I'm gonna play this video.
They're bad faith people.
I don't think the audience will be served at all by hearing this, but I'll play it for you anyway.
I think like the biggest thing that like annoys me in like the whole dating world is like fucking talking stages. Like that shit's so annoying. Like the whole like, and just like the inconsistency in them. Like I literally like hate that like so much. But I think that's like my biggest thing. It's just like
what specifically?
Just like the fact of just like you like, I don't know how to word this. Like in like talking
she knows
stages,
she doesn't know how to
just,
word
like,
it.
like,
I can't do it. I can't listen anymore.
I shut it up the first time I tried to, but I've since listened to it.
They say she's speaking hot girl language.
So is she saying that in the early days when you're texting back and forth for like, and then it turns into a week of texting and then 2 weeks?
So then she goes on to say like no one wants to commit or be in a traditional like dating.
Right.
It's these weird talking stages, and their talking stages mean like the hookup phase, and you're seeing someone.
But she's also talking about 21-year-old dudes who go to college in California. Like
here's what James Lindsay said. She's crying for help because of the damage online dating and hookup culture have wrought, speaking vaguely and badly about her tacit knowledge of a miserable... You want to pull that up? Let me start over. She's crying for help because of the damage online dating and hookup culture have wrought, speaking vaguely and badly about her tacit knowledge of a miserable circumstance without the vocabulary to articulate it. This is sad.
Yes.
What I got, you can see, I retweeted it too. James Lindsay's a smart fella. What I got from it is she's basically like, she wants a real relationship with somebody.
Yes.
And that doesn't exist. And it's feminism's fault.
Yep.
Because basically, the sexual liberation thing told men, there's nothing you have to do anymore. There's no responsibility. There's no resources. There's no hard work. Ladies, just going to give it up. So what you end up with, a bunch of little boys who sit around playing video games all day and don't have to provide anything. Women who don't want families. So the guy doesn't have to provide anything, and there's no strings attached in hooking up. And now you have women. And I'm not saying every woman, I'm not saying most women, at least in this case, one woman who is like, this sucks.
Yeah.
But it's not just, I feel like this is a majority of the Gen Z girls and the whatever they're calling that other generation. They really fell prey to this hookup culture. And I think a lot of them, and you see it here in her, even though she's not saying it well, they're understanding that it's not making them happy. And that's why I feel if we had someone that wasn't, Andrew Tate's great, right? The way he articulates this to young men. Hopefully he's innocent, but
he's not innocent. He's not been charged with any crimes.
Yeah. He doesn't
you want to preface it, but he does say these good things. But we need
Andrew Tate has not been charged with any crimes.
Yes.
So it's like he's not even. There's nothing to be innocent of.
Yes.
They just locked him up.
Justice.
It's just that's my little disclaimer. But I like what he has to say. But I think there needs to be a version of that is palatable for women. That's saying the same thing but palatable for women because they feel the same way. But the way that it's put for them is just off.
I don't know. The only way to beat it is to not participate in it. Like, the only way to get rid of hookup culture is to just stop hooking up with people. And I'm sorry, but most of the girls on this podcast, whatever, are hooking up with people. They're making the problem worse, and they're not willing to take accountability. I think that's why a lot of people are like angry when they see this clip, because they're like, I mean, I don't know this about this girl individually, but like the archetype, she's contributing to her own problem. And also, Andrew Tate is a participant in hookup culture. So it doesn't really resonate when I hear him talking about the negative effects.
Mm-hmm. He's not like, people say he's kind of like, what do they call him? Kickbox, Muay Thai, Jordan Peterson. I'm like, yeah, but isn't Jordan Peterson more traditionalist and like clean your room, have a family?
With kids.
Andrew Tate is like, get all the ladies.
Yeah.
I guess technically,
Peterson walks the walk.
Andrew Tate is more traditional than Jordan Peterson because Tate brings it back to a carnal, more primitive state.
Peterson says don't lie, and Andrew Tate says I lied for money. I had women pretending to be talking to guys while I had dudes doing the typing. We made tons of money. We ran the game. Like, he's just a liar and proud about it. So they are not on the same level in any way. I agree with you that being alone is less worse than being with the wrong person. So like these people doing hookup culture, maybe they'd be better off if they were alone. But those being alone and being in the wrong relationship are like D- or worse.
The alternative isn't even being alone. It's just like dating in a normal way that doesn't immediately, like for these women, give strange men access to your body.
You know what I think it is?
Preferable
a lot of
for
it,
both sides.
I think it's a cultural deficit in that we created all of this media, iconography, TV shows about love at first sight and about, a guy meeting a girl and they just love each other, or Hallmark movies where, the woman's in a relationship with the guy, but he's snooty and she goes back to her hometown and there's the old, football player and,
the lumberjack.
The lumberjack and he's a stand-up honorable guy. And in reality, relationships are built together. You meet each other, you get along, you say, oh, okay, you start building things together, and you build up that emotional bond over a long period of time.
It's also like
young people seem to think that it's like you meet someone and it's like they're the one.
No,
I've met them.
If you are in your best place and you meet someone in their best place, then you will realize together you're something. But they're not going to make you better. You gotta be up there so that they can come up to meet you. I made that mistake for a long time, thinking she was going to fix me. And so what's advice you guys would give to young guys? Because I think a lot of guys are afraid of rejection sucks. And getting rejected in public, if that gets blasted out on the internet, not only you might even look like a predator. Guys are probably afraid of that. So advice?
Girls also need to learn to reject guys in a way that's gracious and not ruthless. Mm-hmm. That's a problem.
What would be, that's cool. What would be a good advice for young guys that want to pursue a relationship with a girl in this modern technology era?
That's a very loaded question. I mean, I think it depends what they want. If you're a young man looking for a more traditional relationship,
go to church.
Yeah. I mean, that's really...
A lot of people say that, but it's like, okay.
Supermarket.
You're going to go up to someone in church and be like, hi. Like,
That wouldn't be very trad.
makes some people feel weird.
They say the supermarket. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. But I just feel like they have to live, you have to walk the walk, and you can't be calling for traditional lifestyles if you yourself are involved in hookup culture and things like that. If that's what you want, really, Tim's not wrong. You're going to find that in church.
Or a supermarket. That's the other thing. No,
Yeah.
for real. They say, guys will go to a bar to pick up chicks, and it's just like, I guess that makes sense for a guy, but for a woman, it doesn't make sense, because you're going to get a guy who's not looking for any kind of real relationship. That's what this young woman is basically saying. She comes to a point in the video where she says, like, this is not going to lead to a real relationship. And then there's another video going viral of a Japanese woman who was surprised when she met this guy's family. And she was like, so this guy, I've been seeing him. We went on 5 dates. He introduces me to his family. And I'm thinking like, wow, this is a really big deal. Like, we're hitting it off. And then when she inquires, he's like, no, we're just friends. And she was like, what? Like, that doesn't exist where she's from. When a guy and a girl hang out several times, they're dating. When they introduce their families to each other, it's very serious. In America, look, that's what I was saying about feminism. Right?
I don't know if Japan has their shit together either.
Well, sure.
Dating.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They have the hikikomori, where the guy, hikikomori, the guys lock themselves in their rooms and play video games all day and never come out. Even when their friends are like outside, they're just in their room playing video games and no one ever sees them. And then, but that's Japan. I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say something about feminism. I know that the woke leftists are going to be like, Tim Pool blames feminism, incel, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, look, man, I don't care about women running for president. I know we end up like, actually, let me pause. What's your stance on the 19th Amendment, Ashley? Repeal?
I think there have been a plethora of problems that have come.
All right, there you go. We have women on the show, and they're like, repeal the 19th. And it's always the guys who are like, well, I don't know. I'm like, if the ladies vote for it. But anyway, I don't care about that stuff. Feminism wants to see women as CEOs. I don't care. Run a company. Do whatever you want. Like, I can choose to go to business, do business with whoever I want. You can run a company if you start a company. But in terms of like the sexual liberation stuff, it's not really liberation. It's stripped women of their leverage in relationships. Right. Women were told you can go around and sleep with whoever you want, and the guys were like, yes.
I love that you're pointing that out about leverage, because when they call men incels, they're saying you can't get access to sex with women. But like, sex with women has become valueless now.
Yeah.
So where'd the leverage go? Is that even an insult anymore?
Well, so the thing about incels is most of these guys, it's an internal problem. It's never been easier for these guys to hook up. You go to a bar, buy some drinks, everybody gets, has a good time, they're drunk, they go party, and then before you know it.
But that's tough. That's risky in modern culture, because you
you
can get blasted out on the internet as putting your hands on someone's thigh or
I'm not
something. when
saying
you
to go
read something
touch women without consent.
Yeah, but they might think it's consensual, and then they take it a step too far. I think that's a big problem.
There is a reason why bars have the lights turned low, and there's a reason why there's that you can buy it at like Hot Topic or Spencer's or whatever. It says beer making ugly people attractive since like 900 AD.
Like, I always thought one of the cringiest things is the guy's like, "Can I kiss you now?" And you're like, "Oh God, just go for it."
That's sweet. I think that's
You do think
sweet.
so? Should the guy ask before he makes a move?
I don't think it should be mandated, but I think it's
Whoa. Absolutely, they have to. See, women.
Because everyone's
Tim's like, you're
mentally
gonna get
ill.
young
But
men in trouble
if we
if they
lived
don't
in a
ask
sane
consent before every
society,
time.
Dude,
no.
that lady cop.
Yeah.
Did you guys? Okay, so we were talking.
Yes.
I should pull this up
Yes,
because I'm gonna.
This is actually perfect.
I don't even know how do I look this story back. I had it pulled up and I'm like,
Gang
your history.
banging
That's
cop.
for sure.
She was emotionally groomed, guys.
Yeah. What's her name? What's her Megan Hall? Was that her name? Let me try and find this one.
Tennessee cop, I don't know.
It is funny though, because a lot of these feminist ideologies mostly benefit men.
All right, take a look at this. This story went viral, and I have no idea why. About this Tennessee cop, Megan Hall. She's now claiming she was sexually groomed and that she said no, and they wouldn't take no for an answer, or like one guy wouldn't, or something like that. They colluded in their authority to systematically disarm her resistance and entrap her in degrading and abusive sexual relationships, exploiting her, felt trapped. So you want to talk about guys in the modern era? Mm-hmm. If a dude is with a girl and the girl comes up to him and puts her hands on his shoulder and leans in for a kiss and kisses him, he just assaulted her. And if she wants and she says it, they're in trouble. This is a story that went viral for months about a woman who was banging a bunch of cops and just was as loose can get. And now she's claiming she was victimized and they wouldn't let her, they wouldn't stop.
So what did she say? That it was one that, so she was fine with the other 7? and not.
Well, she's saying she was groomed. She was saying they groomed her. And
You're an adult. Are you getting groomed? Really?
No.
I don't
Is
know.
that a
An
thing?
adult police officer
I don't think
is now
so.
complaining about being groomed.
In all honesty,
You're supposed to be the law enforcement of the land. Like, turn those guys in. What the hell's...
you're a grown adult professional with
Here we
professional
go.
equals.
quote, I did say no, and he wouldn't take it for an answer. Okay, so is
Gee, that sounds like one.
this the story about this cop who was being abused, this female cop, and just didn't know what to do? Or is she a wild and crazy cop who is hooking up? See, do we know? I don't know, but I'll tell you this. If you've got a young guy, even if he asks, she can just say he didn't, and then he's going to jail. He's getting locked up. That's the story.
It is very scary, and like I have younger brothers. I have a son. It is scary for them dating now. And
Chappelle talked about this with he did that joke where he had the guy sign a consent, he pull out a consent form, and then he was just like, "Now hold on there." He climbs off the woman. He's like, "Let me just fill that out, initial here and sign here, and just make sure everything's good," because that's where things were going. And the funny thing is, that show was like early 2000s, and then it was the 2010s when we got Mattress Girl, this woman who begs a dude to hook up with her, reportedly, and he doesn't want to be with her. Finally, they hook up. Then he leaves and he's like, I don't want to be with you. She gets mad about it and then carries her mattress around claiming he raped her, even though the messages show that she was begging him. So when Ian asks, should a guy ask, can I kiss you? Yeah, your best bet is meet a girl at church and have a real relationship and get married and all that stuff. Otherwise, you go to jail or something.
But going to church to hook up...
I'm joking.
No.
Going to church to hook up.
we're not. No.
The confession booth. No one can see
Yeah.
you.
If I worship loud enough, she'll
What I'm
notice
saying
me.
is, what I'm saying is, meet a person in a real environment and have a real relationship.
It's tough to do. A lot of it's like, what do they call it? Happenstance. Like you walk by and you see her. Like that
Not
kind
anymore,
of thing.
dude. Now we got that 5
Home
hours
Depot
of
thing.
walking through New York as a woman. If you even say howdy, ma'am, you're considered assault. You're assaulting. You're catcalling.
What about that whole Home Depot thing? They said to go
What
to
was
Home
that?
Depot. They said to go to Home Depot and find a guy in Home Depot because the guy can actually fix stuff.
Oh.
So like that's a
Yeah,
good place to meet a man.
Yeah.
Just
If a
go where
woman
your
wants-
values
You just run
are.
into a married contractor.
Hey,
Oh, I like the go where your values
Go
are.
where your values That's why we have wedding rings.
I went to theater school and I met other actresses, girls and that's how I got my first real serious girlfriend because I was pretty nerdy in high
So
school.
look, if you're a woman and you don't got to take advice from me, I'm some dude, and you want to meet a guy, go to Home Depot, and then just make sure there's no ring on the hand, and then just say, I'm trying to fix a door. Can you help me? Can I hire
Just
you?
act really
I just need
helpless
so
and
many
stupid.
DIY projects.
Don't lie to your way into a relationship, but
No, like if you're at Home Depot for a real reason, you got to have a problem fixed. You're going to find a better quality guy.
Oh, they're so happy to help too. Every time
Yeah.
I don't know what to do,
Guys
I'm
love
like, I'm
it.
just gonna ask them how to do it.
can you reach that?
They're
hammer
so
for
happy
me?
to help there.
But not just that, like guys like solving problems and being helpful. If a woman goes to a guy and says, look, I got to fix a door and I need somebody who can help me do it, a guy might be like, that sounds great. I could totally help you with that. That'd be awesome.
Yep.
I'm here to help.
Do you think that dating apps should be deleted from people's phones, or should they keep using them?
I think that and social media contributes to the problem of people always thinking there's something else out there. Well, I could do better, and that's just comparative in general with the lives that we're living. But it absolutely contributes to it.
I noticed that I was in a relationship and I kept Tinder on my phone, and I would still find myself looking at it from time to time.
Well, what if I need it?
Yeah.
It's that whole.
You can
there
always-
might be something else.
And so this last relationship I'm in right now, I deleted all the apps right away. It was just I knew, like,
I'm
getting
proud of
into
you.
it. And there's you can always reinstall it. It's not like it's gone forever.
Let's make a fake dating app where it's like all of the people on it are bots and they say nice things to you.
There's like a conservative dating app now. I don't remember what it's called, but like
Christian
whatever
Mingle?
would be the purpose of
right
that.
stuff. Right stuff.
It's something
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
it. Stuff.
But
That's
like
it.
that just means you're going to find hyper political people who are just obsessed with politics,
Right.
What
which
about-
is not what you want either.
There's Christian Mingle, right? That's
there
like
is.
that's been around for a long time. There's
That's
J
more
Date.
Plenty of
mainstream.
fish.
J-Date. I always, part of me wanted to get on J-Date. I'd be like, I'm
Farmers
going to find,
only.
I'm not even
Farmers
Jewish.
only.
It feels so dirty.
Farmers
Just like
only.
join a
Farmers only.
Facebook
Did you
group of
infiltrate
people who are
Jacob?
I wanted
interested in
to. I never
something.
did. It was
you
like a
know?
fantasy kind of thing.
Just like join a Facebook group. People are
Yeah,
interested in things and then
Facebook.
go to things, go to events.
People need to talk to their neighbors and find local community.
Oh, you meet people through people. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
That's a great way to do
That's
it.
how they used to.
Okay, so think about
Arranged
something
marriage.
something you're interested in, and then go to events of those things and meet people. The problem is when it comes to a lot of hobbies or crafts and stuff, it's dudes, it's not women. Like
True.
Ashley, you're right about
you-
arranged marriage. I just wanted to point that out. You know,
What
we need to
about
bring
it?
that back. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That was clutch.
What's your
was a
favorite
lot.
I mean, think about it.
There's a lot.
Think about like the stereotype of like the older woman who is always trying to like matchmake younger people. That doesn't exist anymore because she's bitter and single. She hates younger women. She doesn't want her to find love, right?
Okay.
That archetype of the matchmaking woman in a village, you know, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, my
But what
mom's
if, like-
very matchmakey, probably because she has a family and wants me to have a family.
The
Yeah.
problem with arranged marriage is that it's anti-meritocratic, in that you might have a 3-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl, and then they're like, our kids are gonna get married when they're older, and then by 18, the male is like 100-pound soaking wet, frail.
They were rarely arranged at such a young age.
But it's
3?
not forced. Arranged marriage is not forced marriage.
Then how could it be arranged at
You're
all?
allowing the parents to judge the merits of the other person
Yeah.
because they're older and more wise.
So you're saying like, when a woman is about to become an adult or whatever, the parents decide, oh, we found this guy for you, get married to him. Like
The guy's parents are involved as
it's,
well.
it's
I
if it's
mean,
not forced,
yeah.
it's not arranged.
The families are.
It's just like a mom suggesting a guy, like, honey, you should marry the guy across the street. He's
And
dreaming.
they're
Like, no, I don't want
talking
to.
to the
Oh, okay.
families and working it out.
love is
saying
about
this gonna
compromise
work out.
anyway, you know. I feel like the obsession with like marrying for love as well is very hyper individualistic.
Yeah, there's a lot of different type of love.
Yeah.
And it's kind of,
Yeah.
you know, if you're like, I love this sandwich so much, like, what kind of love?
I
what are
think
you
love
talking-
is also a choice and not a feeling in a lot of ways. I think
Totally.
too many people equate it with a feeling.
That's what I was saying. Like people, I think our generation and younger are led to believe because of movies that, you know, you walk into a bar and there's like a beautiful woman and there's like, oh, my heart be still, I'm in love. And it's just like, yeah. And then you find out she's like a white supremacist and like,
Right.
you know, and you're like, whoa, I don't want to be like, she's attractive, but I'm not going there. You know, like you
Sounds like this has happened to you.
No, I just mean like you see a beautiful woman and it turns out she's just like messed up. There could be like a pretty lady and you're like, wow, she's beautiful. And then she's like, the people from the moon have stolen my cheese. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm getting out of here. Or, you know, I don't know, maybe your guy was into that kind of crazy wild ride.
Maybe she was just eating candies with Ian for a moment.
I think
I'm down to go to the moon, bro.
you find someone that you have things in common with where you can have fun, you can get along, and you enjoy each other's company. And then over time, you build a relationship
Yeah, you
together.
said it was a choice.
Yeah.
So, like, how define that?
I mean, you choose to love people. I think even your family and people, they don't always act in ways that are...
Choose to will the good of
Yeah.
another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the choice being like you're accepting the downsides of the person.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're not abusive or toxic.
All the
but yeah,
crazy
you-
people just need to be with each other and then leave all the
Yes.
same people alone.
Yeah, there should be like a crazy people dating app
Oh, you mean all of them?
for all the rejects.
Yeah. Tinder is one of the worst too.
What are your favorites? Like, what are your top 3
haven't
dating
really
apps?
used them.
I don't
Never
use
used them.
dating apps.
I had Tinder, Bumble, and OkCupid. Did you ever use any of those?
I was on OkCupid a long time ago.
I got it at first because I was building mines, and I was like, we were going to add a Tinder thing into the thing. So me and Bill were like, hey, market research, let's get it. And it was so addictive. I'd spend hours just like swiping. And I'm like, this is the most superficial stuff I've ever done in my life. I'm judging each individual human
It's like
woman.
a little game.
We don't even
how
need
they
it
look.
anymore. With all the data we've collected, an AI can just be like, boom, this is your match, you're done.
The AI
I'm not
does
even
the
kidding.
arranged
Oh,
marriage.
okay.
I'm not even
Arranged
kidding.
marriage.
Yes.
AI arranged marriage.
I guarantee you this. I would bet a large sum of money that if you took all the data from all the dating apps and then plugged in the data to like an AI, the AI could find your match
It's
instantly.
a Black Mirror episode.
And then you'd be like, because it knows where you're from, it knows how old you are, it knows how much you weigh. You could do like
Your
one of
browser
those.
history.
I mean, if you want to put that
Optionally,
in,
hope-
but I'm saying,
it
look,
can't account for your personality.
yes, it can because
Totally
OkCupid
good.
does that thing where it asks you all the questions.
It knows when you poop, so it can like be like, oh,
That's
they
right.
both poop around the same time of day.
Facebook could do it. Facebook, check it out.
That's what it was supposed to be.
Facebook would understand things about you in weird ways. Like, you don't need to tell Facebook you're a conservative. Facebook can see your post where you say MAGA 2024. You don't need to tell Facebook that you enjoy peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because you once posted an image of a blue circle. And it seems completely unrelated. But there will be weird things like that where statistically, people who like peanut butter and jelly for some reason are more likely to post blue circles than red squares. And we don't notice those things, but the AI will, because it's looking at hundreds of millions of internet interactions and then finding statistical correlations.
So they already do that. There's, if you buy turkey bacon, you're more likely to vote Democrat. And these political parties already use different data like that.
Right.
It's really scary, the amount of data. Have you ever looked at your Google profile?
Turkey bacon?
Yes.
Yeah, or if you drive a Subaru, you're more likely to vote Democrat or be a lesbian, you know?
But that's obvious. That's like, oh, we get it. Somebody who likes turkey bacon is more likely to be left-leaning.
Yeah.
But what about something like you go to McDonald's at 7 in the morning? Oh, you're more likely to get oil changes in the third of the month at 7 p.m. Like weird things that we can't see, it will find those correlations and tell you. That means in dating apps, if it took your social media profile, all of your data, we could easily, at this point, make an AI that would be like, here's your perfect match.
I think we're getting
in terms of attractiveness, in terms of location, in terms of personality, the AI would break it all down and be like, based on the people you've messaged, based on the people she's messaged, based on what you like and don't like, the times you go to the bathroom and the food you eat, you should get married.
I feel like TikTok could do it too. I mean, the TikTok algorithm is insane. So sometimes it's scary how hyper fixated it is on your life and your interests and everything like that. So I think that could come very soon.
Well, how much of a relationship do you think is about shared interests? How important?
I think it depends on the interest. I think it's more important to be have shared values rather than interests. I think interests are temporary and can be switched out and changed. And I'm not interested in the same, some of the same things that I was years ago, but I think values is more important.
Yeah, I'd agree, because it's been like, sometimes it's fun to, be dating somebody and then they have a different interest. You don't always want to do just the things that you know. You want to be exposed to new things. You don't want to just have exactly the same interest as somebody else, because like, what more is there to talk about after a certain point? You've already seen all that, so you've already done all that stuff. It's like,
it's very surface level,
Right, I agree.
Shared values being like morals, ethics kind of thing?
Yes, yes. I mean, especially I used to tell people that all the time when they'd ask, oh, should I, my girlfriend's a Democrat. I'm like, well, get out.
How does that happen?
I don't know. And that's what I said. I said, there is a fundamental difference in the values of Democrats and Republicans. That's not going to work. I mean, what happens if she gets pregnant? First of all, there's just
it's like, I can save her. I can fix her. That's what it is.
Well, I mean, that's partly true. Women who get married tend to vote Republican. But it could be because women who have Republican leanings are more likely to get married. The marriage may not be the catalyst. It may be the inverse. So you never know, I guess. But I will tell you, millennials seem to be extremely unhappy, particularly millennial, Gen Z, and younger women. They have very high suicide attempt rates, very high depression and anxiety. So you can't come to me and be like, no, they're happier than ever. They're not statistically, they're miserable.
It's nuts because it's the hottest girl. I mean, that girl's beautiful who is talking like this. And she doesn't have a boyfriend. Are you kidding me? Like if I was
Something
22.
is fundamentally broken.
No. Ian, are you joking? Why would a guy do the extra work and make himself monogamous with her when feminism says he can have her and all the other women all at the same time? Why buy the cow when you get the milk for free?
And that's what feminism did.
You know what a shotgun wedding is?
Yep.
That was because dudes would go bang the girl in the barn and the father would run with the shotgun and be like, that was my daughter, now you're married. And the guy was like, oh, shucks. The meme was that the guy didn't want to get married, he just wanted to hook up, but there were moral obligations to a woman. Yeah. Women had leverage. Now, it's all free, baby. She's like, I can't.
Nothing.
Because
you're like, she should have a boyfriend. She's attractive. I mean, maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago. But now a guy hooks up with her and says, I can call her whenever I want and she'll be there because she wants me and I don't have to give her anything.
Oh my gosh, but that's a good thing. Well, not
for her.
Not the not give her anything thing, but call her whenever you want kind of thing. That's a good thing.
Except she wants him.
For men.
To be in a relationship and he doesn't have to be anymore.
She needs to take responsibility and not hook up with a guy thinking that it's going to convince him to commit to her.
I understand. Yes. I understand. Except this woman says to the guy, hey, I want to be in a relationship. And he goes, lady, I got 50 women on Tinder right now saying the opposite of what you're saying. See ya.
It depends on what he wants.
Yep. There are probably a lot of older guys who are like, I want to have a relationship.
There are young guys who want relationships too. It's just, it depends on, I guess, your maturity level.
I used to be like,
agreed.
Get to know the girl. My best friends for like a year. Then we became boyfriend and girlfriend for like 7 years after that. But we were already best friends. And then after that, didn't really work out. And then I just was like, if she's not going to have sex on the first date, I'm not interested. And so that was how I just
You said that to her?
to myself. I
Oh.
was like, from now on while I'm dating, if she doesn't want to hook up, then she doesn't want to hook up. And that was my mentality. And I found a girl for 4 years, didn't work out, the recent girl, we
That's
hooked up
true
pretty quick.
feminism. It's true feminism.
How so, like fourth wave feminism where we're at?
Yeah, they have to put out.
Yeah, that was my,
Liberation.
because it's like exhausting. Like, does she even like me? Like, why is she not having sex with me? I'm 34 years old. Like, I don't have time. Maybe it's because I was just getting older and like I'm still in that dating pool that I'm like, I don't want to wait and see on this one. Like, is it happening or not?
Well, let's ask the audience. We're going to go to Super Chats. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and become a member at timcast.com. Head over to timcast.com, click join us. We're going to have a live members-only show where we expand upon many of these ideas. We've got some pretty dark subject matter for you tonight, and it's going to be uncensored and not so family-friendly, so that's why it'll be on timcast.com. But let's read your Super Chats. I'm not your buddy guy says, I'm not your guy, friend. I'm not your friend, buddy. Jesus says Matthew 24, 4 through 13, 2 Timothy 13 through 2, or Timothy 3, 1 through 7, and John 6, 37 through 39. Does anyone know those? What that's a reference to?
Nope.
I just registered that as a mess of numbers.
Yes. It's a Bible verse.
Well, I want to thank everybody for letting me empathize with neuroses that I think a lot of young people are going through. I'm actually in an extremely awesome relationship at the moment, so I'm not really nervous about myself, but I'm allowing myself to freak out a little bit.
All right,
You're
Rusty.
shaking a little bit, Ian.
Yeah, it's intense.
Let's read some more. Rusty Shackelford says, would IRC happen to be in the running for members-only chat protocol now that Discord is out for the moment? No, the Discord is almost done. Yeah. And so we'll go with that and we'll see what happens. But IRC was a really funny idea. It's a good idea. The problem is we would just have to create like a new IRC server every morning or something. It'd be kind of weird. Yeah. And then anybody could just share and give access to it. So what we're trying to do is create a system where if you're a member at timcast.com, it gives you access to the Discord, which is relatively easy to do. But yeah, agreed. I don't trust Discord. However, I will say like we're not banned from YouTube. So I'm not super worried about getting banned from Discord. I just don't like it. And when we were thinking about doing a different service, yeah, they're probably worse. So we'll figure it out. All right. Damian Master says, yo, you hear Discover Card is going to start tracking their customers' gun purchases?
Wow.
Oh, wow. Really? Well, I got rid of mine. So how about that? Yeah, that's a whole other private story. So Corey Alexander says, Ashley St. Clair is on. So this episode is going to be based AF. As it was. Matthew Schneider says, Biden Fetterman 2024. It's a no-brainer. No. Yep, that's a classic. That's a classic. All right, Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, Tim, man, the fire in your eyes at Wesley's Trek mistake. I thought a dropkick was coming. Hilarious. The Chinese spy balloon skit with Taylor. It burns. I'm still giggling. Keep them coming, yo. Yeah, so check out Cast Castle on timcast.com. And we've got another one that we're planning that I'm really excited for. Basically, we're just there. It's a combination of they're sketches, right? We're doing sketches that mock cultural issues. So, and then there's gags in them.
You guys got to collab with the Bee.
I mean, that'd be great. We'd love to.
Collab with us.
So Ian did a really funny sketch where he was the host of a show called Rian with Ian, and he's basically Crowder. And then he's complaining about his contract with Roberto Jr., the rooster, and he's got, it's called was a Play School Rock and Robot, where he secretly recorded Roberto's the rooster's conversation. And
that's my resume. I think we need a hit movie. Basically, I say like as in this movement, political movement. I don't even think of that political terms, but there needs to be a hit movie that's not out of Hollywood. That's out of like this system of Daily Wire, Babylon Bee, Timcast, all these cool networks. Make like a hit, like Lethal Weapon hit movie. I'm pitching it to Crowder. I haven't talked to him I don't know where he's at. I haven't seen him in a month.
Oh, we could easily do a movie.
Yeah,
we just need a good script and
6 weeks.
I think a political comedy movie would be great because the budget can be low, and then we would just reach out to people like Ryan Long. He might be. I don't want to.
The Babylon Bee.
Well, yeah, of course. I'm just saying we'd get a bunch of people, and then we could do like a funny movie.
Ryan's hilarious too.
Yeah,
he's so funny.
Yeah, he was great on Rogan. I need to watch. I've only seen clips.
Oh, was he on?
Yep.
Yeah,
good for him.
Clips were good.
Good for him.
Yeah, he had one funny one. I'm not going to say. Maybe I'll. Dirty jokes. All right, here we go. Fiji Merman says, I had a Hershey bar. I was expecting plain chocolate, but I took off the wrapper and saw giant nuts. Ha. That was a good one. Amenthi says, stay alive, John Fetterman. We only need your corporeal form. Indeed. MF Damien says, hardcore depression after major accomplishments is common. The goal doesn't give meaning, the chase does. Once you have it, what now? Messes people up. That's why I firmly recommend to children skateboarding. There was a great article I read when I was younger. It was called What Now? And it talks about how in skateboarding, you'll go to this stair set. Big set, is very tall, and you're going to jump down. And you're trying to do a 360 kickflip off of that stair set and land it. And it's your dream trick. It's the hardest thing. You want to do it. You've tried it a couple times. You've bailed. Finally, you come back with your friends, and you're like, today's the day, and you land it. And for about 3 seconds, it feels good. And then you stop, pick up your board, and it's gone. Now what? Mm-hmm. What now? It's over.
Do it again.
Double.
No,
wave.
doing it again won't give you that feeling.
Yeah.
Another
Been there, done
metaphor is like playing Magic the Gathering. When you build your own deck and then you win, it's so much more fulfilling than just getting a deck from someone and winning. Like having created the value, I think.
So I'll
is
say
the
this.
value.
For me with skateboarding, it got to the point where there's like nothing left for me to do. I've been skating since I was about 13, and all the tricks I've wanted to do, I've done. And there are some things, obviously, like I'm not the best skateboarder in the world. There's a lot of things I can't do. I'm never going to do like a kickflip McTwist or anything, but I've never been passionate about that. So all the things I want to do, I've done, gotten the dopamine release, and now I'm like in my mid-30s, and I'm like, I like skating. You know, I'll do some tricks here and there, but I have no desire to do a nollie heel flip crook, you know, big spin out or something, because like I did that when I was a teenager. Like the feeling isn't there anymore. So now it's mostly just about cruising around, doing some big ollies, getting a few kick flips, heel flips, maybe a few good flip tricks, some, you know, late flips in, skating the mini ramp and just cruising around, carving, hitting some grinds so you get the flow of things and it feels good. You get the exercise. But that drive to like, I don't know, you know, switch flip blunt is just not there anymore.
What if Elon said he wants you to come kickflip on a spaceship?
There's probably better people he could ask to do that.
He asked you, Tim. Then would you go?
I mean, I guess it's like a, you know.
Okay, we got
suppose.
you. We
He was
got
like,
you on the
kickflip your way
spaceship.
to Mars.
I don't know.
It'd be
I
low
wouldn't-
gravity,
I
dude.
wouldn't go to Mars.
Kickflip off the
It'd be
roof, please, Tim.
It would be weird. Like, it would be weird to do a low gravity kickflip. I don't know. I can't imagine. But I'm just saying, like, as you get older, when you're young, you see these things and you're like, I want to do that so bad. And then when you're older, you're like, yeah, I did all that stuff.
Timcast SpaceX collaboration. We make a music video in space on one of those re-entryable rockets. Or we'll go up in one of those maybe.
It's really interesting that the article you were talking about for the skateboarding was called "What Now" on
Yep,
that
that's
topic
what it's
too.
called.
That's very.
Yeah. What now? Yep. Matt Kinder says, I'd love to play a game of Magic with any of the cast members. Do any of you have an arena account? Do you have an arena account?
Yeah, I think I do. I don't use it though. I don't play a lot online.
I have a really good idea. We are going to, with Poker with the Boys show, it's we're getting a poker table, but it's really like a tabletop table, right? When you play Magic the Gathering with your buddies, you use a poker table because it's a card game and we could do board games. But I had this really great idea of doing two things. The internet plays Magic the Gathering. The internet plays poker. Here's what we do. We get 5, for Magic, maybe we get 5, 6 players. Maybe that's too many, maybe 4. But one player takes actions based on what the audience in the live chat is voting on. So they'll show the cards. We'll need to make like a real-time system where people can get an app and then see the cards in the hand and then pick the actions they want. And then whatever the most actions get voted on is the player will do.
Mm-hmm. You could have it like you show the cards in your hand 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they just put the number play card number 4.
And then it tracks the percentages. And then what happens is there's a thing called priority. It's priority, right, in Magic. And so when like someone plays a creature, if you have a counter spell, priority goes to you. You ask the audience, they spam it. You give it 5 seconds. Say okay. Tap, counterspell, boom.
The world has chosen.
So
And then we'll
you're
see-
not really even playing. You're just the vessel.
Right.
For the
audience
internet to
watching,
tell you what to do.
Yeah. I thought that would be fun. And I thought like we could do it with a bunch of different things, poker, board games, create an app where people can vote on what to do and then see if we can get like a pro Magic player to beat the entire internet.
Did you guys see the guy who built a software program where you can play pool on a video game and it controls his pool stick and shoots the actual pool, and then he has a
No,
camera
but
on his
that's cool.
table?
That's very cool.
He's
Very
got a big
base.
YouTube channel.
All right, let's read some more. Smig says brain dead is actually used in the medical field, but the term is actually called death by neurological criteria.
Nerd.
Really? Is that what it is? Nerd?
I'm kidding.
Son of a Murph says Ian removing the DNR would make the everyday person have to pay attending during the election cycles. Pay attention.
Yeah. I agree.
We've been talking about it for a long time. Yes. Because then they're going to be like, vote Democrat. And they're going to go, who's that? Get rid of it. If they don't know who they're voting for, they shouldn't be voting for him.
Good luck. Figure it out.
We did
Informed.
we did a Cast Castle sketch where we had MTG play MTG. That with Ian. Marjorie Taylor Greene played Magic the Gathering, and she beats Ian, and Ian gets really mad, and he's like, okay, and then he's outside.
She actually played. She did it.
She doesn't.
Yeah,
we told her
Oh,
what to
that's
say,
cool.
and she performed it perfectly.
Oh, I love that.
I just love when she's like, Ian plays Wrath of God, and then she taps the blue, and she goes, Mana Drain, and Ian's like, oh. People who know what that means find it funny. If you don't, it's esoteric.
You got it in
Watch the
one
bit.
take. Nice job.
Yeah, she did a great job. Yeah. We got a real. I wish I could tell you the joke for the one we're doing now, but it's too good, so I can't. It's like we're gonna put it up on YouTube, and everyone's gonna laugh when they see it. I can't. I'm gonna stop there.
Do you actually? Thomas Martin thinks Tim definitely plays white green cat deck.
No, I play red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue, baby. Those are my colors. America.
Shocking.
One of my favorite decks is red, white, and blue. So there's
Kaikar.
Yeah.
Nasty.
But mostly blue. It's control. So that's the color for, control and
You
manipulation.
can see the red magic come out of his eyes sometimes when he's getting fired up.
Yeah, so red is like chaos and aggression. And so I like playing red and blue, which is chaos and control. It's a mix. And then, it is what it is. Let's read some more. What do we got here? Some more super chats. Clint Torres says, I think Fetterman is in for an experimental treatment and one day is going to come out in a press conference, rip open his suit to expose a Superman symbol and yell, hey, you guys. Look, man, they've got stuff. Okay, let me just say stuff. It's like $8,000 stem cell treatments. We got Bocus, the cat, stem cells to save his kidneys. And it seems to be working.
You think they're going to do that for Fetterman? I think they're going to let him
Maybe they want
wither and die. I don't think they're giving him any stem cells.
Maybe.
They're saving that for Hillary.
Eru Kane says, use locals for your members chat. Maybe, but we need more than that. We with Discord, you can do call-ins.
Yeah, it's
Right?
a little deeper.
Yeah. And we can create different rooms. So we can actually create like the VIP lounge, elite access,
Right.
or whatever. And it's like, I'd rather have it be based on like time frames. Like you become a member, and then if you've been a member for a certain amount of time, you move up in the rooms or whatever.
Tiers.
Yeah, there'll be like the VIP lounge, and it's like if you've been a member longer than 3 months, then you're in the VIP lounge. I wouldn't want to do anything where it's like over a year, but maybe. Because then it's good for us. It encourages people to stay members for a long time, to go in these rooms.
You got to show respect to your veterans.
That's right. And we'll put Ian in the room.
Oh my God. Okay.
We'll put Ian in the VIP lounge.
But I'm only going to chat with video or audio. I don't want to do text.
And it'll be like, if you've been a member for at least a year, then you're in the room with Ian as he's playing video games.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And you can play video games with
happy.
Ian.
He's so happy.
Let's play some
That's right.
Baldur's Gate 3.
All right. Son of a Murph says, Donald Trump Jr. has bank account canceled. News? What? Really?
What?
Is that? Let me pull up the old Don Jr. Twitter
But
account.
It was Chase.
Or
It was
they
what?
just
It
bamboozled
was
you.
Chase.
It was Chase. Chase canceled him?
I don't know. I said I bet it was Chase. Let me see.
Oh, right. PNC. Whoa. What? PNC Bank shut down the bank account for my app, MXM News, without any explanation. What?
You give a speech at, this is a quote, you give a speech at one insurrection.
Wait, is that what he said?
It looks like that's a quote from
I
him.
knew this was coming.
Is that what he said?
and I knew
that's
Kanye
the quote
was
from
the start.
That's hilarious.
alternet.com.
Whoa. That's crazy.
Debanked.
At the beginning, after being told to call a generic helpline, I was informed by the PNC representative that per the terms and conditions, PNC reserves the right to reevaluate their business relationships at any time and terminate accounts without cause.
Well, who just started a bank?
Whoa.
John Rich. Donald Trump. Donald.
Yo,
I said your
that's
actual
scary,
last name,
man.
Trump.
This is what happens. This is what happens, and this is why. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me here, but I was very concerned with the compulsion to disavow Kanye because he had just been banned from Chase Bank. And that, to me, no matter what he said, is really scary. But conservatives, even if they had never said anything even remotely similar to what Kanye said, they had this compulsion to disavow, which
The
makes it worse.
debanking had been a thing for a long time before it even happened to Kanye.
Yep.
And it set the precedent that that's just acceptable.
I got to read this one. It's a good one. Eric Christensen says, I have a question to ask about the title of this episode. Rumored? The title of the episode is Fetterman Rumored Brain Dead. And, okay, figuratively, he's brain dead. Literally, it's rumored that he's brain dead, okay? So we can call Fetterman brain dead if we mean he's just not functioning properly. But in this context, it was like the rumor is that he's literally in a chair, drooling and going, and like not functioning anymore. But good super chat. Very funny. All right, what do we got here? Heron Gaming News says, I can hear Luke going ree when Tim said anarchist society doesn't work. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. Every attempt at an anarchist society has been crushed militaristically. Yeah. I'm not saying it's not ideal or that we couldn't implement it in the future. I'm saying historically, every time there's been a community of anarchists, they've been crushed by outside forces. Short-lived. A bunch of people sitting around being like, let's vote on how to deal with the insurgent hordes that are storming into our territories. And then by the time they figure it out, they're gone. So there's always some kind of mix. There's always some kind of executive.
It's when the executive knows that it's dangerous situations is when they're needed, is when they create dangerous situations so that they're needed. That's when the anarchy needs to step up.
Let's just make it Michael Malice and call it good.
Red Rum Max says, funny how Ian has on his Twitter pin that he will build muscle this year and yet is as sickly looking as ever.
It's February. No, it's March.
It's March.
Yeah.
Ian, you look great.
I'm not healthy. I think I have a parasite. I need to cleanse my body, fix my dental work. I just had a tooth break today. Like, I need to fix my teeth. I'm like the United States. I'm like a shell that's like not being kept up. I haven't been taking care of myself. I haven't been getting enough sunlight.
Just put on the muscle suit and come on the show. And
there it is. But I really need to purge my body of disease or whatever the hell's in it right now.
Yeah, Ian, I still got
you're
this
okay.
now.
I feel like I'm living in pain, but I'm desensitized to the pain. So I haven't been realizing like my jaw hurts, like almost all, like constant pain.
All right. Thomas Sidebottom says, in the age of deepfakes, the in-person campaign tours will become incredibly powerful. No more basement campaigns. Yep. James Madison's Ghost says, AI deepfake videos will become the fake news headlines that get shadow changed a day later after everyone has already read them, misinforming people. Yeah, man. The Trump example of disavowing white supremacists is exactly it. They will make a deepfake, alter one word to make it sound worse, and that's all liberals will see. Welcome to the future. Dorktanian says, you're very optimistic about this. There are going to be bots automatically feeding news stories to the AI skewed in their favor to have instant deepfakes created as the stories pop up. Yup. So we're using AI for Timcast.com news articles. When there's a story, we're not all of it. Sometimes we'll just get a picture of the guy. We're making our own custom art for everything. But some of it is AI deepfake in that, like, we did a story about Pete Buttigieg and the train derailment. So our news team just AI generated a Pete Buttigieg art with a train derailment art. And that's what we used for the story. It's not a real picture. No one would confuse it as being a real picture because it looks like a painting. But we're using AI for the characterization of these things.
I wonder if photorealistic art AI stuff should be watermarked or banned.
Nope.
You'll never be able to ban it.
Free speech.
Free speech to make you say something? I don't know about that.
I don't know if we did the Star Trek joke in the Cast Castle episode, but considering it's already out anyway, I'm going to say it. But we took Captain Picard and Data and deepfaked a conversation between the two of them where Data accuses Picard of being racist because of disparaging remarks about Klingons. And you know, my brother made a funny joke about it. I don't know if it's actually in the episode, but that was an idea I had where I was like, if the gag is the camera comes into the room and I'm sitting there watching Star Trek, then we can make Star Trek say whatever we want.
On the TV?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like I'm sitting there watching the TV and you can see like the Enterprise fly in and then it cuts to my face and you hear Data being like, I just can't quite figure out how to give it to her properly, sir. Well, Data, you have to try and thrust, you know, things like that. And then I'm just going like, this is a good episode. So we can make any show say anything we want.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we should just do it all the time because it's hilarious. But this one was particularly offensive, so I don't know if it made it in the episode. I don't know. But all I know is if it did, it was hilariously edgy. It was good. We'll talk about it in the members only show. All right, where are we at? Matthew Waddle. Like Adam Saline, the AI leader of the rebel movement in Heinlein's The Moon is a harsh mistress. The book was written in the 60s. Interesting. All right, where are we at? E-Wape says need to start attributing a cryptographic hash to metadata of official videos. Can't use legally if the hash doesn't match public key. Nope, because there's screen grabs, because there's compression, because there's downloads. So you can try and attach metadata tags to things, but there will be, as soon as Trump gives a speech, there will be 15 versions of that speech on the internet. Figure out which one's the real one. And what they'll do is the fake ones, they'll get meta tags too, and they'll say, no, ours is the real one. Then you'll get nefarious actors that will film it, deep fake it. Like actual press will be at the event. They will film Trump speak. Then they will deep fake alter it, put a meta tag on it and be like, that's the real one. Here's proof, a picture of me at the event. What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do?
Maybe supply the original meta tags and be like, this is the original. This is the earliest date. If the date's in the meta tag, I don't know if that stuff can be forged. If you have a technical solution, you think you do, hit me up on Twitter with it.
I want to give a shout out to, I think it's Mel and Rye. Rock, Paper, Scissors Anime is an amazing video. I talked about this a little bit, I think earlier. This YouTube channel, Corridor Crew, they used AI technology to turn themselves into anime characters. So in order to make an anime battle, it's anime rock, paper, scissors. Two brothers fight over the throne by playing rock, paper, scissors, and it's actually really funny. Like when they rock, paper, scissors shoot, there's like wind, and like the windows all explode, and they're like, ugh. But they filmed themselves in a green screen, then used AI to convert that into anime. Then they took photorealistic like environments from Unreal Engine, I think, converted that to anime, to like animation style, and then made this show without actually drawing anything.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
But we're not going to, it's in my opinion, still rudimentary. I think we're a couple years away from you typing in, make me an anime about two brothers fighting over the throne, and it will just start rendering, and then it'll be like, come back in 10 minutes, boom, here's a 15-minute episode. Mm-hmm. It's going to be crazy because I'm going to be like, write a sequel to the X-Files movie where Mulder actually discovers there are aliens, and then I'll watch it, and I'll actually enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, it's going to be less about making the best piece of art and more about making consistently good art. Because there's going to be so much of it that there might be flash in the pans of this is so great, that's so great, but the really great ones are going to get reused and recopied and reprinted over and over again. So you just need to be known for putting out lots and lots and lots, if you want to make a career in it, I mean.
In
All right.
art.
What's that?
In art.
Yeah, in digital art.
Baby Leg
Be
Bennett
true.
says, Ian, the meaning of life is to simply live a life full of meaning. Now please roll me a 77.
Okay.
Okay. Uh-oh. No, that doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
It fell off. This thing never stops rolling.
Yeah, it's quite circular.
Oh, where's it going? Okay, it's rolling. Is it going to be a 77? And it's... Nope.
Still
Decided to
rolling?
keep going.
You guys ever do a Ouija board?
Where's it? It's going to
No.
fall off. Wait.
You should.
No, I should not.
75. Whoa. Close one.
Oh, it is 75. Wow.
Oh, that's
Sorry.
close.
Next time. I'm getting better.
That's why I wanted to raid this one, because I'm like, if he rolls this and actually 77 comes up. But 75, that's only two points away, man.
That's pretty
That's a
impressive.
fairly accurate
Was
call
wrong.
right there. The price was wrong. The price is wrong, bitch. All right. Carlos Y says, Ian, the purpose of kids is to set them up to have an even better life than you. You don't want them to just have what you have, but to exceed you. I half agree. You want, in order for kids to have a better life than you, they have to experience hardship to become strong. So a big mistake a lot of people make is they raise their kids and say, I want to give my son the things I never had. So I'm going to send him to a good school, and I'm going to buy him a new car, and I'm going to give him all these things I wish I had. And it's like, bro, you are successful because of the things you didn't have. Mm-hmm. Giving your kid all this stuff just means he's going to be entitled when he's older and be like, why won't the government give me a new car? Mm-hmm. So what you should do is, when you have your kid, bring him out to the woods and, teach him to fight and punch trees and start fires and like campfires, I mean, obviously, and, survive. Not
Start forest fires.
Start fires. Yeah, fire. No, none of that. All right. Cowboy Redux says the internet has already destroyed politics long before deepfakes. Politicians do not do their jobs. They only virtue signal on social media. The people that vote for them live in a spectacle economy inundated with depravity. Yeah, but let's be real. Before the internet, you'd get people like Hillary Clinton, and they'd go to New York and be like, hey, you got to vote for me because I'm just like you guys, huh? Vote for me, yeah. Then they go down to Alabama and be like, you got to vote for me because I'm just like you. And then they go to Chicago and be like, if you vote for me, I'll get your garage door open or fixed in no time. That's what Hillary Clinton was doing because internet video wasn't a thing when she was younger. So she went down to like Arkansas or whatever and started talking with a Southern drawl. And it's like, oh, please, New York Senator Hillary Clinton. Mm-hmm. AOC did the same thing. It's like she doesn't know, you know, she did the Latina thing.
Listen.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as breakfast tacos from Jill Biden.
Oh, yeah. Jeez. All right, what do we got? Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, Ian, sir, please stop blaming 2006 YouTube content.
Hey, man, don't knock it till you try it. Put your emotions and your truth, honesty, and your face on the internet on video after video and listen to people and make responses and create community. Try it. It's not easy.
Get him, Ian.
All right, let's grab. We'll grab one more super chat. What do we got? Let's see a good one. Neglectful Sausage says, I've always said Star Trek is racist AF. In Next Generation, Picard says like a Romulan or like a Klingon to people using race as an insult. DS9 was the same. Well, okay. Well, yes, that's a good point. And you should watch Cast Castle to see the bit we did because it's basically that. So if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button? Subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Become a member over at timcast.com by clicking Join Us. And in about 10 minutes, we'll have the live, uncensored after show up for all of you to hang out. And we've got some pretty dark stuff to talk about. It's not going to be family friendly, so you're being warned. You can follow the show at Timcast IRL. You can follow me personally at Timcast. Ashley, do you want to shout anything out?
Just the Babylon Bee, and you can buy my children's book, Elephants Are Not Birds, at brave.us.
All right.
People find you on Twitter.
Yes, at St. Clair Ashley.
Okay. You can follow me on Instagram or Twitter. They're both Mary Archived, and subscribe to Pop Culture Crisis. We go live at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Pacific Time, every Monday through Friday, and we talk about celebrities, movies, all that stuff.
Good show. I've been on that many times. You guys follow me at Ian Crossland anywhere on the internet, pretty much everywhere on the internet, any social network, and I'll see you later.
And I am at Serge.com on everything on the internet. I've seen a lot of people follow my SoundCloud, which is interesting. Thanks.
Tomorrow at 1 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast, we will have a hangout interview / conversation with Pete Parada, formerly of The Offspring, and we're going to talk about the issue he faced with the vax mandates, how he was unceremoniously removed from The Offspring after 14 years. And I got to tell you guys a crazy story. So Pete has been in a bunch of, he's been in the 2 of the music videos out of 3 we've done so far. Technically there's 4, but 2 of the ones we've done recently. One's not out yet. It's currently being edited, and he came out here. We filmed. He's amazing. He's an amazing drummer. It's an honor and a privilege for me to get to work with, you know, the drummer who was with The Offspring for 14 years because they were my childhood favorite band. But he's never publicly done an interview about what happened with being kicked out of the band because he's a very humble, you know, and kind of quiet guy. But I asked him if he would want to come on and talk about this and give us the full picture and talk about a bunch of other things, and he agreed. So we're going to be recording it tomorrow morning for the Culture War Podcast episode 2. But here's the crazy story. Last night after this show, I go home, and I'm getting ready for bed, and I press power on the TV. The only thing I press. And because usually I watch like Yellowstone or 1883, but I finished watching those. So I watched some movie last night. So I go into my bedroom, and I turn the TV on, throw the remote in the bed, go into the bathroom, take my contacts out, when all of a sudden I start hearing Kill Boy Powerhead, an Offspring song. And I'm like, what? And then I walk out, and Allison, my girlfriend, she's like, did you turn this on? And I was like, I turned the TV on. It was The Offspring playing at a rock concert, playing the song Kill Boy Powerhead, and Pete's playing the drums on the show. And I was like, oh, look, it's Pete. And then Allison's like, you didn't turn this on? And I'm like, all I did was turn the TV on. I didn't turn a channel on. I didn't open Amazon. I didn't do anything. I just pressed power. So I have no idea why that turned on, but it was just kind of crazy.
Just on the TV?
That's really crazy.
Part of the algorithms manipulating us to see what the machine creators want us to see is that...
I think it's the Ouija board, Ian.
But
all I did was press
real.
power.
Like sometimes synergy is real. It's like God-like spirituality, and I'm afraid that people might lose the distinction between algorithmic manipulation and God actually moving people together.
So look, normally when I turn the TV on, it's static. Like, because you get the home bar, it's like an LG, and like the bar pops up, and you got to pick HBO or Paramount or whatever. And usually it's just like Amazon. I turned the TV on this time, and I didn't think twice. And then it started playing a rock performance from The Offspring, and it's just
Which is weird because there's smart TVs that even if you turn it off, like it resets. You have to go back to the app. That's
very
really
weird. Anyway,
when you do the Ouija
we're gonna go to
you're the one moving it.
we're gonna go to the members only show uncensored at timcast.com. So, and also check out the Culture War podcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see y'all there.